Chapter 23:10. Tang Ao knew that this was an incomparably realistic illusion because the real Shenong cauldron was still lying in Tang Ao's chaotic hexagram mirror. After seeing that the spacetime mystic realm could produce fifth-grade illusions, Tang Ao willed many immortal herbs to appear in Tang Ao's hands. At this point, Tang Ao also understood some of the uses of this spacetime mystic realm. Apart from raising one's cultivation level, one could do anything here and the effects would be much better than in the outside world. Just like Tang Ao's 7-killing Sage Dao's fifth sword, Tang Ao had deduced it for many years in the Black-Yellow continent without a single clue. But after arriving here, he immediately had a prototype. Soon, Tang Ao knew what he should be doing here. Cultivating for 1,000 years in the spacetime mystic realm was only 10 days in the outside world. If Tang Ao wanted to raise his cultivation level, he didn't lack these 10 days. Therefore, during this time in the spacetime mystic realm, Tang Ao had to raise his attainments in alchemy, smithing, array formations and talismans. At the same time, he had to cultivate his spirit, tempered his body and deduce the 7-killing Sage Dao. The 7-killing Sage Dao was an extremely mysterious cultivation technique. Since Tang Ao cultivated the Sword Dao, the 7-killing Sage Dao-derived sword technique. On the other hand, Dong Xuanye mainly cultivated palm technique. His 7-slaughter divine path had derived 7 powerful palm technique. There was also the 7-killing sect's disciple, Wei Pohu. Wei Pohu cultivated staff techniques and hence, the 7-killing Sage Dao-derived staff technique. Soon, Tang Ao's eyes lit up. There was no saying that one could only cultivate one type of 7-killing Sage Dao. In other words, while Tang Ao was deducing sword techniques, he could use the 7-killing Sage Dao to deduce fist techniques, leg techniques, finger techniques and other skills. At the thought of this, Tang Ao's heart burned with passion. Staying in the spacetime mystic realm for 1,000 years might not raise his cultivation level, but his other abilities would improve significantly. As his other abilities improved, Tang Ao's overall abilities improved as well. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao took out the great desolate immortal body that he obtained from the 10,000 treasure tower. The great desolate immortal body was a body tempering technique. Back then, when Tang Ao was under Lu Hua's pressure, he felt as though he couldn't move his body at all. It was as though he was going to collapse at any moment. Tang Ao knew that although his strength was good in all aspects, he had neglected a very important problem. Under the protection of the battle sage Bone Life Soul, Tang Ao had never thought of tempering his body. However, after what happened last time, Tang Ao knew that in cultivation body tempering was also very important. Tang Ao did not know how the great desolate immortal body came to the 1,000 treasure tower, but Tang Ao knew that the great desolate immortal body was extraordinary. The great desolate immortal body had a total of 5 levels. The first level was known as the Yuan body. After cultivating the Yuan body, a warrior's physique would be comparable to a yin-yang realm warrior. As one's cultivation increased, the strength of a martial artist's physique would also increase. A yin-yang realm warrior's physique would already be comparable to a grade 3 immortal weapon. If one could raise their physique to the Yuan body level in the life and death realm, or even the astral reaching realm, then it would not be easy for them to even get injured when battling with warriors of the same level. Apart from that, it would also provide the possibility of leapfrogging battles. The increase in the physique would allow one's body to withstand a higher intensity of spiritual power circulation. It could be said that there were endless benefits. Chapter 23:11. The third and fourth levels of the Great Desolation immortal body were the Divine Body and the Holy Body respectively. The Divine Body corresponded to Tao Master Realm Experts, while the Holy Body corresponded to Divine King Realm Expert. What shocked Tang Ao was that the 5th level of the Great Desolation immortal body was called the Great Desolation immortal body. After successfully cultivating the Great Desolation immortal body, one's physique would be even more overbearing than a divine king realm expert's. Seeing this, Tang Ao understood why the introduction of the Great Desolation immortal body said that one could become an immortal existence after cultivating it. A physique that was even more terrifying than a divine king realm expert's. Even a supreme artifact might not be able to break the defense of such a physique. Reading the introduction of the Great Desolation immortal body, Tang Ao's breathing quickened. Cultivation was for the sake of longevity, for the sake of immortality, to become an eternal existence. However, immortality was too difficult. Countless people had pursued immortality for thousands of years, but those who could achieve it were so few that it was almost negligible. There was even no evidence to prove that immortality existed. Tang Ao's Grandmaster, Alchemy Saint Greenrock, was a Tao Master Realm expert. A Tao Master Realm expert had an endless lifespan. However, Alchemy Saint Greenrock had also fallen here for unknown reasons. Even Flying Star Continent's Divine King Yunxing, who had reached the Divine King realm and was known to be immortal, had also fallen on the Flying Star Continent. Therefore, no one knew if immortality really existed. However, after seeing the Great Desolation immortal body, Tang Ao was sure that immortality really existed. In fact, if he successfully cultivated the Great Desolation immortal body, he would be able to attain immortality. However, the conditions to cultivate the Great Desolation immortal body were extremely harsh. It was even impossible to cultivate it. However, Tang Ao did not give up. It was not that it was impossible to cultivate it. It was just that it was too difficult. To cultivate the Yuan body of the Great Desolation immortal body, one needed to be tempered by the karmic fire. The karmic fire was not an ordinary fire. It was a fire born within a martial artist's body, and it tempered the martial artist from the inside out. After the karmic fire, the martial artist's body would reach the Yuan body level. The 100 tempering of hellfire was not considered difficult. As long as one had great willpower and sufficient preparation, many martial artists could withstand it. However, the second layer of the immortal physique of the Great Desolate immortal physique would have to go through the 1,000 tempering of the heavenly lightning. The so-called 1,000 tempering of the heavenly lightning was equivalent to going through 1,000 tribulations. The dangers involved were self-evident. However, this was still not the most difficult part. The most difficult part was the next 3 levels, each of which required the assistance of a heavenly treasure. Tang Ao looked at the 5th level. In order to cultivate the Great Desolate immortal body, he would need to integrate 5 strands of Xiantian origin energy into his body. Tang Ao had 2 innate origin qi. One was the innate earth origin qi he got from Great Dream Tao Lord's Tao Palace, and the other was Little Flame's innate fire origin qi. However, it was impossible for Tang Ao to melt Little Flame for the sake of cultivation, so Tang Ao could only use Little Flame to search for other connate fire origin auras. Although this kind of aura was rare in the universe, it was not unique. It was just that it was extremely precious. Otherwise, Great Dream Tao Lord would not have treated the connate earth origin qi as his most precious item. Tang Ao did not bite off more than he could chew. After taking a look at the Great Desolate immortal body, Tang Ao returned his thoughts to cultivating the Yuan body. Chapter 23:12. With the circulation of spiritual power and the combination of the mantra, Tang Ao's body started to heat up bit by bit. This heat was different from the usual heat in the body. If someone were to touch Tang Ao's body at this moment, they would find that Tang Ao's body was the same as usual. It was just an ordinary temperature. However, Tang Ao felt that his body was even hotter than an alchemy furnace. Under this heat, invisible flames suddenly appeared around Tang Ao. These flames were invisible, but they were extremely terrifying. In just a moment, Tang Ao's hair disappeared immediately, and much of Tang Ao's clothes were also burned. However, under the rich vitality in Tang Ao's body, Tang Ao's hair grew back very quickly. Tang Ao's eyebrows and burnt skin also recovered very quickly. After his burnt skin recovered, his aura was clearly stronger. After the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, almost every part of Tang Ao's skin had been burnt. At this time, Tang Ao's aura had also become stronger. At this time, Tang Ao's skin was still burnt, and this time, it was not just his skin. Even Tang Ao's flesh was burnt. Traces of black qi instantly spread out from Tang Ao's body. These black qi were the internal injuries and impurities that Tang Ao had accumulated over the years. Even a top-notch alchemist like Tang Ao, even with the 9 Dragons Emperor's jade body, could not withstand the black qi. But such impurities were still unavoidable for Tang Ao. Perhaps when Tang Ao's alchemy level improved again, Tang Ao would have a way to deal with the accumulated impurities and hidden injuries in his body. But now, Tang Ao had no way to deal with these impurities and hidden injuries. As inch by inch, his flesh was burned by the karmic fire, Tang Ao was in so much pain that he was gritting his teeth. Even with Tang Ao's perseverance, he still found it unbearable to be tempered by the karmic fire. Finally, after an hour, the immortal spiritual force in Tang Ao's body stopped circulating. The great desolate immortal body's mantra was the same. At this time, because Tang Ao suddenly stopped, the burnt parts of Tang Ao's body did not recover immediately. In an instant, Tang Ao almost fainted from the pain. But at this time, the jade bone life soul in Tang Ao's body suddenly exploded with a cool and warm feeling. At the same time, the burnt parts of Tang Ao's body recovered rapidly. However, Tang Ao looked helpless. This was because the parts that were healed by the karmic fire did not become stronger. It was obvious that his body would only become stronger after being tempered by the karmic fire. But Tang Ao did not regret it. This was Tang Ao's first time cultivating the great desolate immortal body. Also, Tang Ao knew that he had reached his limit after an hour. If he continued, he might die from the karmic fire. This had nothing to do with one's perseverance. If his body allowed it, Tang Ao could use his perseverance to cultivate to the level of an elemental body. However, this was clearly not realistic. After cultivating for only half an hour, Tang Ao felt that he had lost a lot of weight. Chapter 23:13. Tang Ao waved his hand and the Shenong cauldron that he had just created disappeared. Then, Tang Ao took out the real Shenong cauldron. After taking out the Shenong cauldron, Tang Ao took out a huge pile of medicinal herbs. In the golden storage ring that Pill Saint Green Rock had given to Tang Ao, besides the endless elixir formulas, there were also many medicinal herbs. However, it was not easy to take out these medicinal herbs. Right now, Tang Ao was only at astral reaching stage 2. Therefore, Tang Ao could only take out medicinal herbs that were below astral reaching stage 2. Only those that Tang Ao could take out were all grade 1 immortal herbs and below. Even so, it was more than enough for Tang Ao now. Although Tang Ao's alchemy skills were infinitely close to a grade 2 alchemy master, Tang Ao was still one step away from becoming a grade 2 alchemy master. Although it was just a thin piece of paper, without the right opportunity, Tang Ao would not be able to become a grade 2 alchemy master. The elixir that Tang Ao had made this time was used to assist in the cultivation of the great desolate immortal body. Cultivating the great desolate immortal body took a horrifying toll on one's body. Even with Tang Ao's foundation, he still lost a lot of weight after cultivating the great desolate immortal body. If other martial artists were to cultivate the great desolate immortal body, they would either be burnt to death or be reduced to a bag of bones after an hour. Therefore, Tang Ao was sure that cultivating the great desolate immortal body required the assistance of elixirs. However, even after Tang Ao had checked the black jade scroll countless times and even used the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao still could not find any supplementary elixirs for cultivating the great desolate immortal body. In fact, this time, Tang Ao had misunderstood. Although the jade scroll he had obtained was incomplete, the expert who had created the great desolate immortal body had not considered Tang Ao's situation. After all, even the God King of the Desolation, the creator of the great desolation immortal body, could only cultivate for the time it takes for an incense to burn when he first started cultivating the great desolation immortal body. After 49 cycles, it could be called the first refinement. After the 100 refinements, the origin body would be formed. At the beginning of cultivation, a warrior's physical body was weak. Therefore, the God King of the Desolation period had never expected that there would be a monster like Tang Ao who could cultivate the great desolate immortal body for an hour at the beginning. As time passed, the cultivation time kept increasing. However, even the desolate ancient God King had never seen a monster who could cultivate the great desolate immortal body for an hour on the first try. The scarlet fire crystal in the Shun Nong cauldron emitted waves of high temperature. In an instant, thousands of elixir recipes reverberated in Tang Ao's mind. There were simply too many elixirs that nourished the body. However, after some consideration, Tang Ao still chose the bone bloodline elixir. The effect of this elixir was just like its name. It could nourish a warrior's meridians, flesh, and bones. Originally, Tang Ao had thought that even if he had to choose elixirs, Tang Ao would only choose a Tier 1 elixir or even a Tier 2 immortal elixir. However, this bone bloodline elixir was a Tier 4 immortal elixir. Of course, other than the bone bloodline elixir, there were many other elixirs that could replace it. However, after some consideration, Tang Ao realized that there was no elixir that could match the effects of the bone bloodline elixir. Chapter 23:14. Therefore, Tang Ao continued to use the Shennong cauldron and the illusionary immortal herbs to concoct pills. After his body recovered, Tang Ao continued to cultivate the great desolate immortal body. Even though Tang Ao had yet to concoct the bone bloodline spiritual pill, Tang Ao had concocted an elixir called the 8 Treasures Foundation Pill to nourish his body. The 8 Treasures Foundation Pill that Tang Ao had concocted was a simplified version of the bone bloodline spiritual pill. Naturally, the 8 Treasures Foundation Pill did not have such an effect. However, with Tang Ao's current level of alchemy, it was not difficult for him to make some modifications to it. Therefore, Tang Ao's following days were extremely fulfilling. After his cultivation of the great desolate immortal body reached its limit, he started to concoct pills. After getting tired from concocting pills, he started to refine equipment. After a while, Tang Ao's body was almost fully recovered. Therefore, Tang Ao started to cultivate the great desolate immortal body again. When he reached his body's limit, Tang Ao would stop and consume a modified 8 Treasures Foundation pill. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 30 years had passed. Tang Ao's body suddenly trembled. At the same time, a jade-white elixir floated out of the Shennong cauldron in front of Tang Ao. With Tang Ao's hard work, Tang Ao's alchemy skills had completely entered the ranks of a Tier 2 alchemy master. If Tang Ao had focused on understanding alchemy, he would not have needed such a long time. But now, Tang Ao had placed most of his focus on cultivating the great desolate immortal body. Now, Tang Ao's great desolate immortal body had reached 21 refinements. As Tang Ao's physique grew stronger, Tang Ao could persist longer. If this continued, Tang Ao estimated that in less than 300 years, his great desolate immortal body would definitely reach the Yuan body level. 300 years in the space-time pocket dimension was only 3 days in the outside world. During this period of time, Tang Ao spent more than 70% of his time cultivating the great desolate immortal body. The remaining time was spent on studying alchemy, crafting weapons, and the art of spiritual enhancement. Tang Ao spent the rest of his time deducing the 7 kills divine path. Not only was he deducing sword techniques, but he was also deducing other magic skills. Tang Ao discovered that his idea was completely feasible, because under Tang Ao's constant deduction, Tang Ao really deduced a finger technique. Although it was only one finger, it made Tang Ao extremely excited. As long as he deduced one finger, it meant that Tang Ao's idea was completely feasible. After deducing one finger, as long as Tang Ao's comprehension was sufficient, he would have a second finger, a third finger, all the way to the seventh finger. Not only that, after Tang Ao confirmed that the 7 kills divine path wasn't unique, as long as Tang Ao was willing and had sufficient comprehension, Tang Ao could use the 7 kills divine path to deduce more magic skills. The first finger that Tang Ao deduced with the 7 kills divine path was the life extermination finger. It was different from the wind cloud obliterating kill, which was a large area of effect skill. The life extermination finger was a very sharp, single-target skill. Moreover, as Tang Ao cultivated the great desolate immortal body, Tang Ao's physical body became stronger and stronger. When Tang Ao used the life extermination finger, it would become stronger and stronger. Tang Ao even thought that if he could cultivate the sacred body or even the great desolate immortal body, he might be able to destroy a part of the world with the life extermination finger. Of course, this was just Tang Ao's imagination. Now, Tang Ao hadn't even cultivated the Yuan body. He was thousands of miles away from the sacred body and the great desolate immortal body. Chapter 23:15. Tang Ao had been cultivating there for 30 years, but only a few hours had passed in the outside world. Ever since Pill Sage Green Rock had sent Tang Ao into the space-time mystic realm, he had been paying attention to Tang Ao's cultivation. When Pill Sage Green Rock saw Tang Ao cultivating, he couldn't help but sigh. Pill Sage Green Rock had seen countless talented martialists after reaching the Tao Master realm. In Pill Sage Green Rock's eyes, Tang Ao wasn't bad. However, in terms of martial arts talent and other aspects, Tang Ao paled in comparison to many of the monstrous martialists he had seen. However, Pill Sage Green Rock had never seen such a stubborn and tenacious martial artist. When Tang Ao was cultivating the great desolate immortal body, Pill Sage Green Rock was secretly shocked when he saw Tang Ao guiding the karmic fire to temper his body. Although the space-time mystic realm was mysterious, if one died in the space-time mystic realm, it would be a true death. Even though Pill Sage Green Rock didn't say it, he knew that Tang Ao definitely understood this point. Even so, Tang Ao continued to cultivate the great desolation immortal body day in and day out. Tang Ao didn't know the correct cultivation method of the great desolation immortal body, but Pill Sage Green Rock did. This was because the Desolation God King, who had created the great desolation immortal body, had some history with Pill Sage Green Rock. When he had first seen Tang Ao's crazy cultivation, Pill Sage Green Rock couldn't help but want to tell Tang Ao the cultivation method of the great desolation immortal body. However, as time passed, Pill Sage Green Rock started to doubt whether the cultivation method used by the Desolation God King was correct. Shaking his head and smiling bitterly, Pill Sage Green Rock didn't continue watching Tang Ao. Instead, he took out a 7-star plate and started to deduce. The 7-star plate had strange fluctuations that seemed to contain the secrets of heaven and earth. Using the 7-star plate, Pill Sage Green Rock saw many things. Pill Saint Green Rock furrowed his brows when he saw this. However, Pill Sage Green Rock relaxed his brows after a long time. Pill Sage Green Rock looked at Tang Ao in surprise once again. He then muttered, "So many things are going to happen in the true martial world in the hands of my grand disciple." Pill Sage Green Rock shook his head and continued to deduce. Although Pill Saint Green Rock was known as a pill saint, Pill Saint Green Rock didn't only know how to refine pills. Aside from pill refinement, Pil St. Green Rock's tool refinement technique and great divination technique were only slightly weaker than Pil refinement technique. If it weren't for the fact that Pil St. Green Rock rarely revealed his artifact refinement and divination technique, he would most likely have a few more titles. However, Pil St. Green Rock was obviously not someone who cared about fame. He just wanted to pass down his alchemy skills. Otherwise, even the Shennong Emperor and the others would not be able to become Pil St. Green Rock's disciples. While Pil St. Green Rock was deducing, Tang Ao continued to cultivate in the space-time mystic realm. Tang Ao's two pitch-black fingers suddenly pointed forward. As the air-piercing sound rang out, the space around Tang Ao's fingers distorted, and a cracking sound spread out in all directions. This finger attack fused Tang Ao's cultivation base, as well as his powerful physical strength. Tang Ao estimated that even a 5th-level astral-reaching realm martial artist would be killed by Tang Ao's finger attack. The 5th-level astral-reaching realm martial artist mentioned here was of course not the astral-reaching realm 5th-level cultivators from low-level continents, but those who cultivated in the immortal ruins and higher-level places. However, the current life extermination finger's power had clearly not been cultivated to its peak, because Tang Ao had not even cultivated his Yuan body. Chapter 23:16. However, as his cultivation deepened, Tang Ao's physique continued to grow stronger. Now, Tang Ao could cultivate the great desolate immortal body for 12 hours at a time, which was more than 10 times the previous time. Furthermore, under Tang Ao's continuous cultivation, the duration was still increasing. Cultivation knew no time, and opportunities like the space-time mystic realm were hard to come by even in 10,000 years. The space-time pocket dimension was formed by the special laws of the world when the world was created. These special laws did not disperse evenly. Instead, they gathered in one place without dispersing. After billions of years of evolution, they formed the space-time pocket dimension, a treasured land. Space-time mystic realms were hidden in the void. Some would shatter after being opened and returned to the real world. Some could be used repeatedly. However, such space-time mystic realms usually required a huge price to be opened. The space-time mystic realm that Tang Ao was currently in was one such space-time mystic realm that could be used repeatedly. However, it was not easy to open this mystic realm. Even a top-notch expert like Pil Sage Green Rock could only open it for 10 days. Of course, this was also because Pil Sage Green Rock had fallen too long ago. At his peak, Pil Sage Green Rock would definitely be able to open the space-time mystic realm at any time. Streams of karmic fire burned within Tang Ao's body, tempering Tang Ao's physical body. As Tang Ao continued to cultivate, he could now cultivate the great desolate immortal body for around a day at a time. The first level of the great desolate immortal body was the Yuan body. After successfully cultivating the Yuan body, one's physique would be comparable to a yin-yang realm expert. In order to cultivate the Yuan body, one would need to undergo hundreds of refinements of the karmic fire. Now that Tang Ao had reached the level of 81 refinements of the karmic fire, it would not be long before he would succeed. Not only had the great desolate immortal body improved, but Tang Ao's alchemy skills had also reached the level of a pinnacle grade 2 alchemy master with the help of Pil Sage Green Rock and Shennong Emperor's alchemy Dao. It was also infinitely close to becoming a grade 3 alchemy master. Other than that, Tang Ao's 5th sword of the 7-killing divine path was becoming clearer and clearer. It wouldn't be long before the 5th sword was completely completed. As for Tang Ao, he had finally broken through to the level of a grade 2 immortal weapon master after mastering array formations and alchemy. Furthermore, after comprehending alchemy St. Green Rock's experience in crafting weapons, Tang Ao combined Yun Xiaoyao's and alchemy St. Green Rock's legacy of crafting weapons, and his forging skills improved by leaps and bounds. As for Tang Ao's finger of extermination, Tang Ao had originally wanted to deduce 7 finger techniques. However, Tang Ao suddenly realized that since he could deduce sword techniques and finger techniques, why did the second level of the 7 kills Sage Dao have to be finger techniques and not something else? With this thought, Tang Ao felt as if he had broken through the shackles. Finally, after the finger of extermination, Tang Ao managed to deduce the second level of the 7 killing divine path. This technique was no longer a finger technique, but a palm technique called the 1,000-hand seal. However, because Tang Ao's time was too tight, Tang Ao had not really cultivated the 1,000-hand seal after deducing it. It had only been a day in the heavenly fire ruins, but 100 years had passed in the secret realm of time and space. In the heavenly fire ruins, Long Lan Lan and Yen Li had been searching for Tang Ao. Their objective for searching for Tang Ao was naturally the elixir that Tang Ao possessed that could allow the Dragon Clan to be reborn. The Grade 1 King-level Dragon Saliva Elixir was an elixir that drove the entire Dragon Clan crazy. Chapter 23:17. If not for the fact that Long Lan Lan was still a little girl, Yenli would have suspected that Tang Ao had an ulterior motive for giving her so many dragon saliva pills. Although Yenli and Long Lan Lan did not find Tang Ao, Yenli found Jin Chen through the Dragon Clan's soul jade by following Tang Ao's aura. On Jin Chen, there was also Tang Ao's aura. Therefore, under many coincidences, Long Lan Lan, Yenli, and Jin Chen teamed up. Jin Chen naturally recognized Long Lan Lan, but he remembered Tang Ao's words. Long Lan Lan didn't know that the two of them were in the concealment array. Jin Chen thought it was fun, so he teamed up with the two of them. Moreover, Jin Chen discovered that Yen Li and Yen Li were very enthusiastic. After he gave them the video scroll of Tang Ao's disguise, they even helped him search for Tang Ao. However, the three of them searched the ruins for a day and still did not find anything. Yenli had no choice but to continue searching for resources with Jin Chen and Long Lan Lan. Long Lan Lan had an innate sense of natural treasures, and Jin Chen was at the astral reaching realm level 9, which made him extremely powerful in the Heaven Fire ruins. Plus, the smart Yenli, the three of them had a great harvest in the ruins. The news of Lu Hua and the Heavenly Dipper Thunder Lion breaking the space of the ruins of immortality also spread, because the heaven and earth laws of the ruins of immortality were not very stable. Therefore, one had to be careful when attacking in the immortal ruins. Although Yin-Yang realm warriors and even some astral-reaching realm warriors with great treasures could break the void of the immortal ruins, this kind of behavior was forbidden. This was because the laws of heaven and earth of the ruins of immortality were constantly being perfected. Once the laws of heaven and earth of the ruins of immortality were completely perfected, it would become a part of the Langya realm. At the same time, the continents closest to the ruins of immortality would be affected by the Langya realm. The laws of heaven and earth would gradually be perfected, forming a new ruins of immortality. But this process was very slow. If the space was destroyed, hundreds of years of progress would immediately go up in smoke. Therefore, even though Lu Hua was a member of the Ruins of Immortality's Elder Council, he would still be punished once he returned to the Ruins of Immortality. However, Lu Hua had no intention of returning to the Ruins of Immortality. After failing to find Tang Ao, Jin Chen felt a little anxious. However, he wasn't worried. Jin Chen's storage ring had a jade pendant that Tang Ao had refined. This jade pendant had a trace of Tang Ao's soul remembrance. If Tang Ao perished, this jade pendant would immediately shatter. Moreover, with this jade pendant, Jin Chen should be able to easily find Tang Ao. But now, for some unknown reason, when Jin Chen used the jade pendant, he couldn't sense Tang Ao's location at all. The jade pendant was unable to sense Tang Ao's location because Tang Ao was currently in Pill Sage Green Rock's mystic realm. All the surrounding fluctuations were isolated by Pill Sage Green Rock's array formation. Time passed slowly, but Tang Ao was completely unaware of it. By now, Tang Ao had been cultivating in the space-time pocket dimension for over 100 years. 100 years was the lifetime of an ordinary human. However, for a cultivator, it was just a fleeting moment. As his cultivation increased, so did his lifespan. Chapter 23:18. The Great Desolate Immortal Body had a total of 5 levels. By now, Tang Ao had already completed most of the first level. However, Tang Ao also discovered that as he continued to cultivate, the time he spent cultivating the Great Desolate Immortal Body kept increasing. However, the higher he went, the slower the cultivation progress became. Tang Ao soon discovered the problem. It was because there was no immortal spirit qi in this place. Although the immortal spirit qi inside Tang Ao's body would never decrease, when Tang Ao cultivated the Great Desolate Immortal Body, he would not be able to obtain immortal spirit qi to nourish his body. Although Tang Ao's pellets were not bad, they still lacked immortal spirit qi. With this discovery, Tang Ao no longer blindly pursued increasing the amount of cultivation time he had. This was because Tang Ao discovered that there was no longer much difference between cultivating for a day and cultivating for a month. Even if he continuously cultivated for a month, the cultivation speed would not increase by much. After discovering this problem, Tang Ao decided to slow down the cultivation progress of the immortal desolate body. He used 10% of his time to refine the immortal desolate body. The remaining 90% of his time was completely immersed in the cultivation of other technique. In this way, Tang Ao's 7-killing Divine Tao's 5th sword was completed very quickly. The 7-killing Divine Tao's 5th sword was a huge sword array. This sword array could be big or small. Right now, under Tang Ao's full power, it could cover a range of 1,000 miles. Within this range, all living beings below the 4th level of the astral reaching realm would be erased. Seeing that the 5th sword he painstakingly created was actually a group-killing spell, Tang Ao could not help but smile bitterly. However, the good thing was that Tang Ao's 7-killing Divine Tao had created another system of spells, which were the Life Extermination Finger and the 1,000-Hand Print. Under Tang Ao's constant cultivation, Tang Ao's Life Extermination Finger had already reached completion. Once Tang Ao's Great Desolate Immortal Body Yuan Body was completed, Tang Ao felt that he could even kill an astral-reaching realm 8th level martial artist with a sneak attack. Moreover, this was a conservative estimate, because up until now, the Life Extermination Finger had not been used in battle. Therefore, this was what Tang Ao had imagined, but the actual effect was unknown. Just like Tang Ao's underworld life spirit, as a top-grade life spirit of the 36th level, once it was fully used, even a yin-yang seal martial artist could be easily crushed. However, ever since Tang Ao started cultivating, Tang Ao had not had the opportunity to fully display the underworld life spirit. Because Tang Ao's cultivation was still too low, he wanted to display the underworld life spirit of the life spirit Tang Ao needed to display. Even if it Astrof was, he, of spirit of the underworld life spirit, Tang Ao had of his world of his. Of before Tang Ao could display the underworld life spirit, Tang Ao had been killed. However, Tang Ao felt that the Life Extermination Finger shouldn't be in such a situation, because the release speed of the Life Extermination Finger was extremely fast, and the only drawback was that it required close combat. However, after cultivating to the astral reaching realm, every martial artist would have 1 or 2 protective artifacts. Therefore, it would not be easy for Tang Ao to launch a sneak attack in close combat. Moreover, astral-reaching realm's 7th or 8th level martial artists were not that easy to sneak attack. Besides the Life Extermination Finger, Tang Ao's 1,000-Hand Seal had also become more and more skillful. Chapter 23:19. Without dwelling on this matter, Tang Ao continued to cultivate and refine artifacts. Under Tang Ao's unceasing practice, the first to break through to the third grade was not alchemy, but artifact refining. After Tang Ao broke through to the third grade, Tang Ao could already refine third-grade immortal artifacts. Third-grade immortal artifacts were nothing to Tang Ao, but under normal circumstances, even ninth-level astral-reaching realm martial artists could use third-grade immortal artifacts. The reason why Tang Ao had so many immortal artifacts was because Tang Ao had obtained the inheritances of several chaotic sky realm experts, as well as many treasures from Great Dream Dao Monarch's Dao Palace. Otherwise, Tang Ao's net worth wouldn't be so frightening. For example, in the Immortal Ruins, many 5th and even 6th level astral-reaching realm martial artists still used low-grade 1st-grade immortal artifacts. Although the situation in Langya Realm was a bit better, the majority of martial artists could only use 3rd or 4th grade immortal artifacts at the 9th level of astral-reaching realm. After breaking through to the 3rd grade, Tang Ao was very happy in his heart. However, this was not the happiest part. The happiest part was that Tang Ao's spirit refinement art had become more and more proficient. Moreover, after consuming countless spirit materials and immortal artifacts, Tang Ao's success rate in refining first-grade immortal artifacts had reached a frightening 30%. In other words, when Tang Ao refined 3 first-grade immortal artifacts, there was a high chance that he would succeed at least once, and one of them would reach the level of a second-grade immortal artifact. A first-grade immortal artifact that had undergone spirit refinement would reach the level of a second-grade immortal artifact. However, in terms of power, it would be 30% stronger. As the grade of the artifact increased, the success rate of the spirit refinement art would significantly decrease. Tang Ao had a 30% success rate in refining first-grade immortal artifacts, but when Tang Ao used the spirit refinement art to refine second-grade immortal artifacts, he could barely reach 10%. As for using the art of spirit refinement to refine grade 3 immortal weapons, Tang Ao had used the art of spirit refinement to measure all the grade 3 immortal weapons he had refined. In the end, all of them were wasted. Outside the space-time mystic realm, Pill St. Green Rock's face was filled with black lines. While Pill St. Green Rock marveled at Tang Ao's terrifying talent, he also sighed inwardly that this grand disciple of his wasn't very suitable to learn the spiritual refinement technique. The art of spirit refinement was too profound and had nothing to do with talent at all. Thus, it couldn't be said whether or not one was suitable to learn the spirit refinement technique. It could even be said that the wealthier one was, the more suitable one would be to cultivate the spirit refinement technique, because there was simply no need to worry about breaking the immortal artifact. Take Tang Ao for example. He had broken over 100 grade 3 immortal artifacts in a row, but Tang Ao did not even frown. It was as if what he had destroyed was not 300 priceless grade 3 celestial weapons, but 300 pieces of scrap iron. Tang Ao reached out and grabbed. When he found that there were no grade 3 immortal artifacts next to him, he immediately waved his hand generously. A pile of materials appeared behind Tang Ao. These materials were obtained from Dao Lord Great Dream's Dao Palace. This was because Dao Lord Great Dream's Dao Palace had been visited by Sikong Jiu. Otherwise, there would be even more treasures inside. Chapter 23:20. The Space-Time Secret Realm was a very special existence. Inside the Space-Time Secret Realm, one could create all sorts of materials and even all sorts of items. Tang Ao kept trying and discovered that apart from the chaotic 6 light mirror, he could create all sorts of treasures in the Space-Time Secret Realm. Because of this special characteristic of the Space-Time Secret Realm, it could be said to be the best place to cultivate alchemy and artifact forging. Here, materials would not be consumed, but one could still feel the various changes in the alchemy process. The same was true for artifact forging. Moreover, although there was not a trace of immortal spirit chi here, the laws of heaven and earth were very clear. Using this place to comprehend magic skills and cultivate some of the hard-to-cultivate magic skills was also very good. The space-time secret realm was a mysterious existence at the beginning of the world. Even a top expert like Pill St. Green Rock could only stay open for 10 days after his death. 10 days would pass in a flash in the outside world. However, Tang Ao had experienced 1,000 years in the space-time secret realm. In these 1,000 years, Tang Ao had been cultivating the great desolate immortal body. Right now, Tang Ao's great desolate immortal body had already been cultivated to the peak of Yuan body, which was equivalent to a peak yin-yang realm expert's body. Right now, Tang Ao was only at the second level of astral reaching realm, but he had the body of a peak yin-yang realm expert. This was a very frightening thing. Just by relying on the strength of his body, Tang Ao could already crush the majority of martial artists in the same realm. Apart from cultivating the great desolate immortal body to Yuan body, Tang Ao's 7-kill divine Tao derived the 5th sword, Green Lotus Sword Array. At this moment, Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword Array could already condense 24 Green Lotus Swords. They were extremely sharp and domineering, and all living beings within the sword array would be annihilated. In addition, he also used the 7-kill divine Tao to derive the life extermination finger and 1,000-hand seal, which had also been cultivated to greater completion. After cultivating for 1,000 years in the space-time secret realm, Tang Ao's alchemy, artifact forging, and arrays had all reached the 3rd grade of immortal grade. As for the spirit refinement art, it had also made great progress. Now, when Tang Ao used the spirit refinement technique to forge a grade 1 immortal weapon, his success rate was close to 100%. However, this effect could only be achieved once. The more times he forged, the lower the success rate would be. Tang Ao had spent 1,000 years in the space-time mystic region. The highest grade of immortal artifact that he had forged using the spiritual cultivation technique was a grade 4 immortal artifact. After forging the grade 4 immortal artifact once, it became an existence that was even stronger than a grade 5 immortal artifact. However, he had only succeeded once. That could be attributed to luck. Later on, Tang Ao destroyed more than 10 grade 4 immortal artifacts in a row. And yet, he still failed to succeed. As for refining top-notch treasures like the primordial sacred heaven bow, Tang Ao had no such thought. Putting aside the fact that the success rate of Tang Ao's spirit refinement technique was low, even if Tang Ao's success rate was slightly higher, Tang Ao still wouldn't have the ability to refine a grade 9 immortal artifact. However, this was only temporary. As the number of times Tang Ao forged immortal artifacts increased, Tang Ao's success rate increased. At the same time, Tang Ao could also use the spirit refinement technique on higher-grade immortal artifacts. Chapter 23-21. This spear was not damaged even after Tang Ao had refined it 7 times. Moreover, after refining it 7 times, this spear was equivalent to a first-grade immortal artifact. It could be said that it had undergone an earth-shattering change. The art of spiritual refinement was a very mysterious Tao technique. There was basically no trace of the art of spiritual refinement in low-level continent. However, in a top-level place like the true martial domain, many blacksmiths knew the art of spiritual refinement. However, there were not many blacksmiths who used the art of spiritual refinement after refining an immortal artifact. After all, although the art of spiritual refinement was amazing, there was still a success rate. In any case, not all blacksmiths were as rich and overbearing as Tang Ao. Most of the time, even if these blacksmiths wanted to practice the art of spiritual refinement, they would not practice with immortal artifacts like Tang Ao. Instead, they would use some low-level spiritual artifacts. Only when the employer requested for the art of spiritual refinement and was exempted from liability would the blacksmiths undergo the art of spiritual refinement once or twice. However, in the art of spiritual refinement, most of the time the blacksmiths failed. In the space-time mystic realm, Tang Ao took a deep breath and thought to himself that it was time to leave. In the space-time mystic realm, Tang Ao only used an ordinary crafting furnace to practice the art of spiritual refinement, and the success rate was already relatively high. Tang Ao believed that after leaving the heavenly fire ruins and returning to the 9 Moons elixir dispensary to refine the Khanate primordial chaos cauldron, the success rate of using the Khanate primordial chaos cauldron in the future would be even higher. Buzz! At this moment, Tang Ao's surroundings shook violently. At the same time, a strong repulsive force suddenly threw Tang Ao out of this space. At this moment, Tang Ao even had an illusion that he was redundant in this space. In other words, he was not allowed to exist in this space. This feeling was a little absurd, but Tang Ao felt it very clearly. The reason why it was absurd was because the existence of heaven and earth was to accommodate living beings. However, in that instant, the space-time mystic realm seemed to have become a forbidden zone for living beings. No living beings could set foot in it. After Tang Ao left the space-time mystic realm, he saw Pil Sage Greenrock. Grandmaster, you. When Tang Ao saw Pil Saint Greenrock, he was shocked. Pil Saint Greenrock's Tao body had become transparent and was slowly dissipating. This dissipation was not samsara, but soldier disintegration. It was unknown why Pil Sage Greenrock had fallen in this place. Even with Pil Sage Greenrock's cultivation, he was unable to step into the reincarnation realm. At this moment, he could only die. When an ordinary person died, their soul would be sucked into the netherworld. In the netherworld, some weak souls would be assimilated into the netherworld energy, while some powerful souls could use the reincarnation Tao to reincarnate. However, mortals could only enter the cycle of reincarnation if they had merit. Otherwise, if their souls were too weak, they would be assimilated into the netherworld aura before they even had the chance to reincarnate. However, martial artists were different. After a martial artist cultivated, their soul would constantly grow stronger. Even after reaching the astral reaching realm, the soul would condense into a godly soul. Therefore, after a high-level martial artist died, his soul could even move freely in the plane of his life. After finding a suitable body, he could even possess it. For a Tao sovereign expert like Pil Sage Greenrock, his godly soul would have endless transformations. Chapter 23-22. Pil Sage Greenrock seemed to understand Tang Ao's conjecture. He smiled proudly and said, "What I left here is just a child's soul. When I died, the 9 demon gods of the Earth Demon realm used a treasure to cut off my reincarnation path. They thought that I would die. However, when the reincarnation path was destroyed, my main soul escaped into reincarnation and left behind a child's soul to pass on my legacy." Tang Ao was shocked. Tang Ao was revered as a demon lord in his previous life. However, Tang Ao had nothing to do with the demon race. The Earth Demon realm that Pil Sage Greenrock was talking about was a huge plane opposite to the true martial realm. Not everyone in the Earth Demon realm was from the demon race. There were also some evil sects that couldn't establish a foothold in the true martial realm. As far as Tang Ao knew, apart from the alien demons, the Ghost Mermaid clan and the Limitless Demon sect, which had invaded the ice and snow plane, were also present in the Earth Devil world. Tang Ao didn't expect that Pil Sage Greenrock was killed by a demon god of the Earth Demon realm. This is an introduction jade slip about the true martial realm and the Earth Demon realm. I hope it will be of help to you. Pil Sage Greenrock didn't care even though his Tao body was continuously disintegrating. After all, it was just a Dharma body condensed by a child's soul. After Tang Ao bowed, He took the jade slip handed over by Pill Saint Green Rock. This ruin will disappear in one day. The golden ring I gave you is called the interspatial ring. There are 3 layers of restrictions inside. You can use it as a storage space after refining the first layer. You can see my herb garden after refining the second layer. You can see a universe world after refining the third layer. If the laws of heaven and earth are complete and the immortal spiritual chi is sufficient, you can even cultivate there directly. Tang Ao was shocked after hearing Pill Sage Greenrock's words. Previously, he really did not realize that the golden ring on his hand had 3 layers of restrictions. Moreover, Tang Ao did not expect that after refining the 3 layers of restrictions, the interspatial ring would have its own world like the chaotic hexagram mirror. Just as Tang Ao wanted to ask more questions, Tang Ao saw that Pill Sage Greenrock's figure had disappeared. Seeing this, Tang Ao bowed again. Pill Sage Greenrock was the founder of the Green Rock Pill sect and also Tang Ao's master. Moreover, after Tang Ao arrived at Pill Saint Greenrock's place, he received a huge favor. Thinking that this ruin would disappear in one day, Tang Ao immediately took out a refining furnace and started refining formation flags. Tang Ao could see that this ruin left behind by Pill Sage Greenrock didn't just contain a space-time mystic domain. There were 5 other mystic domains in the surroundings. For some unknown reason, Pill Sage Greenrock didn't tell Tang Ao about the remaining 5 secret realms. Regardless of whether it was the secret realms or the 5 secret realms, they were very important to Tang Ao and the Green Rock Pill sect. Therefore, Tang Ao decided to take away all of Pill Sage Greenrock's ruins. An ordinary person, even a yin-yang realm or celestial chaos realm expert, wouldn't be able to do so. However, as a third-grade array master, it wasn't difficult for Tang Ao to do so. Although this ruin wasn't small, Tang Ao's chaotic 6-light mirror was almost endless. Therefore, it wouldn't be a problem for him to store Pill Sage Greenrock's ruins. Chapter 23:23. In less than an incense stick worth of time, Tang Ao managed to refine more than 100 array flags. These array flags were all grade 3 immortal array flags. However, Tang Ao didn't use them to set up an array immediately. Instead, he used the art of spiritual refinement and started refining the array flags. The art of spiritual refinement required divine transformation stones. There were a total of 4 types of divine transformation stones: low, medium, high, and supreme. The divine stones in Tang Ao's hands were all obtained from Pill Sage Greenrock's storage ring. He didn't know why, but Pill Sage Greenrock's storage ring only had low and medium grade divine stones. However, Tang Ao hadn't been learning the art of spiritual refinement for a long time. Therefore, it was enough for him to use low and medium grade divine stones. Tang Ao waved his hand and a refined array flag was immediately sent to Tang Ao's hand. Immediately, Tang Ao took out a piece of low-grade divine transformation stone and placed it beside the array flag. Then, he ignited a scarlet fire crystal and started refining the spirit. Under the burning of the scarlet fire crystal, the divine transformation stone instantly melted into a ball of golden liquid. This ball of golden liquid quickly enveloped the array flag. Then, a mysterious aura was emitted from the divine transformation stone. Under this mysterious aura, the array flag that was enveloped by the divine transformation stone also underwent a shocking change. However, very quickly, Tang Ao's face turned bitter. With a cracking sound, the array flag that was enveloped by the divine transformation stone shattered. Clearly, Tang Ao had failed the art of spiritual refinement this time. However, Tang Ao wasn't discouraged. After all, it was a grade 3 immortal array flag. Tang Ao's success rate wasn't high. This time, Tang Ao refined 180 array flags. However, Tang Ao only needed 18 array flags. Therefore, Tang Ao only needed a 10% success rate. However, when Tang Ao used the art of spiritual refinement to forge Grade 3 immortal equipment, his success rate was around 30%. Therefore, Tang Ao had refined 180 array flags. It could be said that he was fully prepared. 4 hours later, Tang Ao had refined all 180 array flags. As Tang Ao had expected, in the end, Tang Ao had refined 61 array flags, and his success rate had already exceeded 30%. Looking at the 61 array flags, Tang Ao realized that there was still some time before he took out the divine materialization stone again and started refining the spirit. However, this time, Tang Ao did not dare to use the art of spiritual refinement to forge all the array flags. Instead, he kept the 18 array flags that he needed. Then, he started to forge the remaining 43 array flags. However, the success rate of Tang Ao's spirit refinement forging this time was pitifully low. After using all 41 array flags, Tang Ao only managed to refine a total of 4 array flags that had undergone spirit refinement twice. Even so, Tang Ao was still ecstatic. The increase in the number of spiritual refinement wasn't an increase in quantity. Instead, it was a leap in quality. It was a difference in the level of the laws of heaven and earth. Among the 4 array flags that had been refined twice, the value of any one of them far exceeded the total value of the remaining 18 array flags that had been refined once in Tang Ao's hands. After squandering all the array flags, Tang Ao started to set up the array. Before setting up the array, Tang Ao kept the 4 array flags that had been refined twice in a jade box. These 4 array flags were exceptionally precious and were of great use to Tang Ao. Grade 3 immortal array flags that had been refined twice could be used to set up arrays that could threaten yin-yang realm experts. Chapter 23-24. 18 array flags were thrown out by Tang Ao according to a specific direction. Immediately, Tang Ao made a series of mysterious hand seals. Then, Tang Ao's gaze narrowed and he began to move the entire Pill Sage Green Rock's ruins into the chaotic hexagram mirror. While Tang Ao was moving Pill Sage Green Rock's ruins, the heavenly fire ruins shook as if something had been sucked out of it. Yi Qiuqing felt it very clearly. Yi Qiuqing's alchemy Dao talent was actually very poor. The reason he could become a Grade 1 alchemy master was because Pill Sage Green Rock's ruins had seeped out. Yi Qiuqing had used this opportunity to comprehend and improve his alchemy Dao skills. That was also why Yi Qiuqing had opened up a cave abode nearby. Of course, Yi Qiuqing had also guessed that there might be an alchemy Dao treasure or the inheritance of a top-notch alchemy emperor nearby. However, as Yi Qiuqing wasn't a disciple of Green Rock alchemy Dao lineage, he couldn't find the location of Pill Sage Green Rock's inheritance. After putting away Pill Sage Green Rock's inheritance, Tang Ao's figure immediately appeared. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to explore the surroundings. After discovering that there was no one around, Tang Ao relaxed. Then, Tang Ao found a cave abode and entered it. Although this was the depths of the heavenly fire ruins and ordinary people couldn't enter, there were clearly many experts in the immortal ruins who could reach this place. Therefore, there were many cultivation cave abodes in the surroundings. Some of these cave abodes were ancient, while others were brand new. They were definitely excavated less than 100 years ago. Tang Ao chose to enter a dilapidated cave abode that seemed to have collapsed. Initially, Tang Ao also thought that this cave abode was ancient and about to collapse. However, after entering the cave abode, Tang Ao realized that everything outside had been deliberately done by the owner of the cave abode. It was unknown who owned this cave abode, but it was terrifyingly huge. The cave abode's ceiling was decorated with night pearls that looked like stars. In the middle of the cave abode was a hot spring. The hot spring emitted dense immortal spirit energy. There were even a few small fish swimming in the hot spring. Behind the hot spring, there was a cultivation room and an alchemy room. At the side of the pill concoction room, there was a piece of empty land. On the empty land there were some withered immortal herbs. The grades of these immortal herbs weren't very high, but all of them were extremely rare. With Tang Ao's eyesight, he could naturally see that there were several kinds of immortal spirit grasses that seemed to have gone extinct in the true martial world. Thinking of this, Tang Ao's breathing quickened. Even though these immortal herbs had already withered, the seeds of the immortal herbs could enter a dormant state. As long as the seeds were preserved, 10,000 years wouldn't be a problem. Tang Ao immediately walked towards this herb farm and started searching for the seeds of these immortal herbs. But to Tang Ao's disappointment, Tang Ao searched for a long time without finding anything. In fact, when Tang Ao's hand came into contact with some of the withered immortal herbs, they would instantly turn into a pile of ashes. Seeing this, Tang Ao's heart was filled with disappointment. However, Tang Ao didn't give up. There was still a small part of the herb farm that Tang Ao hadn't finished searching. Chapter 23-25. However, he had already searched the area behind Tang Ao. There was nothing there. Since that was the case, Tang Ao naturally had nothing to worry about. Under the observation of the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao immediately revealed a look of ecstasy. This was because Tang Ao actually saw a silver seed in that area. Tang Ao knew that this seed was a sword refining fruit that had already gone extinct. The sword refinement fruit only had one use, and that was to refine swords. After choosing a suitable place to plant the sword refinement fruit, the cultivator would use their immortal spiritual energy and blood essence to nourish it. After the sword refinement fruit's tree had bloomed 9 times, immortal swords of different grades could be obtained. Moreover, although these immortal swords couldn't reach the level of Khanate immortal weapons, they could still reach the level of Khanate immortal weapons. Originally, Khanate immortal weapons were all immortal weapons, so there was no such thing as Khanate immortal weapons. However, the existence of the sword refinement fruit made Khanate immortal weapons a possibility. However, it wasn't that easy to nurture a sword refinement fruit into a Khanate immortal weapon. Apart from the cultivator's surging immortal spiritual energy and blood essence, the earth vein and even fertilizer could affect the time the sword refinement fruit took to bloom and bear fruit. Generally speaking, a sword refinement fruit that was nurtured for 81 days was of the highest grade. There was a very low chance of refining a Khanate immortal weapon, but there was a high chance of refining a Khanate immortal weapon. Moreover, such a weapon would have a very high affinity with the laws of heaven and earth. Using the art of spiritual refinement, it would be easy to refine it more than 7 times. At the thought of using the sword refinement fruit to refine a Khanate immortal sword that had undergone spiritual refinement 7 times, Tang Ao's eyes turned red and his breathing quickened. With each stage of spiritual refinement, the quality of the divine artifact would increase by a grade. Even if Tang Ao's divine artifact was only a low-grade Xiantian divine artifact, after the 7th stage of spiritual refinement, it would still surpass a top-grade Xiantian divine artifact. How could Tang Ao not be tempted by this? Before obtaining Pill Sage Green Rock's inheritance, Tang Ao definitely wouldn't have known how to use the sword refining fruit. However, Pill Sage Green Rock's inheritance Jade Slip had a very clear record of the sword refining fruit. Even though the sword refinement fruit was an immortal herb that had been extinct for tens of thousands of years, Pill Sage Green Rock was able to get his hands on a treasure of the Dragon Clan. A mere sword refinement fruit was naturally nothing to him. In the past, Pill Saint Green Rock had not only cultivated 1 sword refinement fruit, but a total of 3. Although the 3 sword refining fruits did not produce any peerless divine swords, they did produce 2 grade 9 immortal artifact swords and a Khanate immortal artifact sword. Therefore, Pill Sage Green Rock could be considered as the person who understood the sword refining fruit the most in the entire true martial world. Tang Ao carefully placed the sword refinement fruit into a jade box. Then, he immediately took out Pill Sage Green Rock's legacy jade slip and began looking through it. Tang Ao directly searched for the information regarding the sword refinement fruit. Then, Tang Ao saw the many images and introductions regarding the sword refinement fruit that Pill Sage Green Rock had recorded. This old man had obtained 4 sword refinement fruits by chance while traveling in the Yao clan. I wanted to use the seeds to reconstruct this immortal herb, but unfortunately, I failed. It turns out that this herb can only be sustained through the roots of the tree. When the sword refinement fruit blooms on the 81st day, a golden beard will be born from the root. This golden beard is the sword refinement fruit's extension. However, after removing the golden beard, the sword refinement fruit will immediately wither, and the sword will not be able to be obtained. If I wait for the sword refinement fruit to ripen, the golden beard will disappear, and I will not be able to sustain it. Chapter 23-26. This meant that Pill St. Green Rock definitely had another sword refining fruit that was planted somewhere else and hadn't been taken. Sword refining fruits had 2 extreme characteristics. The first characteristic was that a sword refining fruit that had been grown for 81 days had a chance of producing an innate godly weapon. However, after 81 days, the quality of the sword refining fruit would decrease with each passing day. Therefore, the martial artist that planted the sword refining fruit would make ample preparations to let the sword refining fruit bloom and bear fruit on the 81st day. Even if it couldn't bloom and bear fruit on the 81st day, it wouldn't take too long. However, the other extreme of the sword refining fruit was the sword refining fruit that had been cultivated for 108,000 years. Normally, this sword refining fruit would have lost all of its essence. However, if one could ensure that it didn't die after 108,000 years, a godly sword could be born. Thinking of this, Tang Ao's heart started beating rapidly. Because Pill St. Green Rock was definitely a young person, it wasn't impossible that Pill St. Green Rock had planted a sword refining fruit that hadn't appeared in the world for 100,000 years. Thinking of this, Tang Ao carefully looked at Pill St. Green Rock's inheritance scroll. However, what confused Tang Ao was that Pill St. Green Rock didn't explain the location of the 4th sword refining fruit. Tang Ao felt that this wasn't normal. After all, Pill St. Green Rock had successfully cultivated the other 3 sword refining fruit. If the 4th sword refining fruit didn't need to be cultivated in such an extreme way, there shouldn't be no record of it. Thinking of this, Tang Ao carefully looked at Pill St. Green Rock's inheritance scroll. However, even to Tang Ao, the information in this inheritance scroll was as vast as the ocean. Tang Ao's powerful soul remembrance could only touch the tip of the iceberg in this jade scroll. If he wanted to read all the information in the jade scroll, Tang Ao probably wouldn't be able to do it without a few decades. At this moment, Tang Ao was slightly regretful. Back in the space-time secret realm, he shouldn't have spent a few decades to completely digest Pill St. Green Rock's inheritance scroll. Even though the space-time mystic realm was within Tang Ao's primal chaos hex light mirror, Tang Ao did not have the ability to open the space-time mystic realm. If he had spent decades researching Pill Sage Green Rock's jade slip, Tang Ao was sure that Lu Hua would have killed him tens of thousands of times by now. Green Rock Pill Path and Green Rock Dao Sect. Tang Ao quickly thought of 2 names. Pill St. Green Rock's legacy was called the Green Rock Pill Dao. There were countless in-name successors of the Green Rock Pill Dao, but the true direct successor was only Tang Ao. The Green Rock Dao Sect was where the Green Rock Dao Sect was passed down. Tang Ao felt that even if Alchemy Sage Green Rock wanted to plant the sword refinement fruit, it would only be planted in the Green Rock Dao Sect. Therefore, Tang Ao's gaze immediately found the introduction of the Green Rock Dao Sect. Soon, Tang Ao saw the various introductions of the Green Rock Dao Sect. When he saw the address of the Green Rock Dao sect, Tang Ao's expression changed slightly. Profound Frost Realm. Tang Ao never expected that the Green Rock Dao sect would be in the Profound Frost Realm. Back then, the Frozen End Emperor had brought Chu Shuahan to the Profound Frost Realm. Therefore, Tang Ao would have to go to the Profound Frost Realm sooner or later. Now that Tang Ao was in the Profound Frost Realm, there was one more thing he had to do. When he saw that the Green Rock Dao sect was in the Profound Frost Realm, Tang Ao continued to look around. He saw the various halls and secret realms of the Green Rock Dao sect. When he saw the Valley of 10,000 Wood, Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. Tang Ao had a vague feeling that the last sword refinement fruit was very likely to be in the Valley of 10,000 Wood. Chapter 23-27 10,000 Wood Valley's Heaven Grade Collection, Sword Refinement Fruit, planted in the second spring of immortal energy, nourished by the 6 Ren 4 symbols array, not rotting for 1,000,000 years. After reading this sentence, Tang Ao couldn't wait to go to the 10,000 Wood Valley to retrieve the sword refining fruit. Because Tang Ao calculated in his heart, it had been 200,000 years since Pill Sage Green Rock planted the sword refinement fruit. Something's not right. Initially, Tang Ao thought that the sword refinement fruit was planted by Pill Sage Green Rock. Therefore, Tang Ao was curious as to why Pill Sage Green Rock didn't record the whereabouts of the last sword refinement fruit. But now, Tang Ao suddenly realized that the last sword refinement fruit wasn't planted by Pill Sage Green Rock. The martial artist who planted the last sword refinement fruit was called Ancestor Cold Mountain. Eldest martial uncle, Ancestor Cold Mountain? Tang Ao was curious. Pill Sage Green Rock had 3 disciples in his life. Tang Ao's master, Shennong Emperor, was his youngest disciple. Besides Shennong Emperor, Pill Sage Green Rock had 2 other disciples. Now, Shennong Emperor and his second disciple were confirmed dead, but eldest martial uncle Cold Mountain was missing. However, Tang Ao didn't take this matter to heart. Eldest martial uncle Cold Mountain had been missing for hundreds of thousands of years. After Tang Ao obtained the sword refinement fruit, if Ancestor Cold Mountain returned, Tang Ao would return the divine sword he obtained from the sword refinement fruit. Moreover, Tang Ao also had a sword refinement fruit. Although Tang Ao couldn't use 108,000 years to refine the sword, he could use 81 days. After finding this sword refinement fruit, Tang Ao marveled at his heaven-defying luck. He was actually able to find a sword refinement fruit in such a dilapidated cave abode. In order to plant the sword refinement fruit, one needed 5 treasures. Of these 5 treasures, 2 were on Tang Ao. They were the Connate Essence Stone and the Primal Chaos Aura. Tang Ao's Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror was filled with the aura of Primal Chaos. Thus, the best place to plant the sword refinement fruit was in the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror. As for the Connate Essence Stone, Tang Ao had originally intended to use the Connate Primordial Cauldron to refine the demon-slaying act. However, since he needed a Xiantian Yuan stone to grow the sword refining fruit, Tang Ao was prepared to use this Xiantian Yuan stone to grow the sword refining fruit. Other than the innate origin stone and the chaotic aura, 3 other treasures were required. After seeing these 3 treasures, Tang Ao immediately smiled bitterly. The first treasure was the 5 elemental soil. The 5 elemental soil was a very special kind of soil in the world. In the records of Pill Sage Green Rock, there was some 5 elemental soil stored in the Green Rock Dao sect's treasury. However, with Tang Ao's current level of cultivation, it was clearly impossible for him to head to the profound cold realm. Even though Tang Ao's physical body could already move unhindered in the void of the domain. However, Tang Ao had no idea where the profound cold realm was. Moreover, Tang Ao knew that the 36 martial realms of the true martial realm were very far apart from each other. With Tang Ao's current astral-reaching realm's second-level cultivation, it would probably take him 10,000 years to fly from the immortal ruins to the profound cold realm. Apart from the profound cold realm, Tang Ao currently had no idea where the 5-elemental soil could be found. The 5-elemental soil was a top-grade soil used to cultivate many immortal spirit herbs. Therefore, almost every alchemist or some big forces would desire it very much. Chapter 23-28. Furthermore, using the 5 elements soil to cultivate immortal herbs would result in supreme-grade immortal herbs. Furthermore, the seeds would allow the immortal herbs to continue growing. If the seeds of the immortal herbs cultivated with the 5 elements soil were also cultivated with the 5 elements soil, then there would be no doubt that the rare immortal herbs would be able to thrive. Of course, there were many other uses. Because Pill Sage Greenrock's records were too detailed, Tang Ao only skimmed through them. However, he was certain that the 5 elements soil was a treasure among treasures when it came to growing immortal herbs. Other than the 5 elements soil, Sciention Essence Stone, and Primal Chaos Chi, the other 2 treasures required to grow the Sword Refinement Fruit were the Bone Powder of an Emperor Beast and the Purple Firmament Dew. The bone powder of an emperor beast was not the bone powder of a particular demonic beast, but the bone powder of all demonic beasts in the celestial turbid realm. Of course, although the bones of demonic beasts in the celestial turbid realm could be considered as the bones of an emperor beast, generally speaking, the bones of the dragon race and the phoenix race were the best. However, the bone powder of an emperor beast was also not easy to obtain. As for the purple firmament dew, it was the most ridiculous treasure. This was because the purple firmament dew was formed after the purple firmament flower absorbed the primal chaos chi. In other words, if one wanted to obtain the purple firmament dew, they would need to grow purple firmament flowers around the sword refinement fruit. If it was any other immortal herb, Tang Ao would not have done so. However, the purple firmament flower and the sword refinement fruit were both extinct immortal herbs. To determine if an immortal herb was extinct in the true martial domain, it did not mean that the entire true martial domain did not have it. Instead, it meant that the majority of the martial domains, especially the profound cold domain, the myriad wood domain, the spirit medicine domain, and the true dragon domain, did not have it. Then, it could be determined that an immortal herb had disappeared in the long river of history. The reason why the sword refinement fruit was deemed as an extinct immortal spirit herb was because no sword refinement fruit had been found in the 4 martial worlds. Although the sword refinement fruit was not easy to grow, Tang Ao did not give up. Tang Ao split a jade bone vitality life soul to wrap around the sword refinement fruit's seed. The loss of vitality of the sword refinement fruit's seed was very slow to begin with. After being wrapped by Tang Ao's jade bone vitality life soul, there was basically no signs of the loss of vitality. After harvesting a sword refining fruit in this dilapidated cave abode, Tang Ao was in a good mood. Immediately, Tang Ao checked the other areas of this medicinal field. However, it was obvious that it was already a great fortune for the sword refinement fruit to be left behind. Therefore, Tang Ao searched the spiritual field twice but still found nothing. Just as Tang Ao was about to look for Jin Chun, Tang Ao received a message from Little Flame. With a thought, there was a special connection between Tang Ao and Little Flame. Then, a sea of scorching magma appeared before Tang Ao. And at the bottom of the magma crystal, Tang Ao saw what he had been dreaming of. In this land of magma crystal, there was a crystal glowing with 9 colors. This crystal seemed to be releasing an endless heat, twisting the void. However, around this crystal, there were 3 martial artists fighting over it. Apart from the first time, Little Flame had told Tang Ao that there was a powerful demonic beast comparable to a 9th-level astral-reaching realm hidden here. Little Flame knew that Tang Ao really needed the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, but it had no way of obtaining it. Therefore, it had sent a message to Tang Ao. Tang Ao was very satisfied. Originally, Tang Ao was prepared to check out the detailed information about the profound cold world in this cave abode. But now that little flame had discovered the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, Tang Ao naturally had to go over immediately. Moreover, there were 3 martial artists fighting over it right beside the crystal. Although there was that horrifying demonic beast, making it hard for the 3 to get their hands on it, it was better to be safe than sorry. Tang Ao was worried that if these 3 fellows also had some special method to take away the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, Tang Ao would be crying without tears. Right now, Tang Ao had 4 pieces of brilliant flame amber on him. As long as he could get his hands on this 9-colored heaven fire crystal, Tang Ao had a 120% chance of advancing his netherworld flame to a 3rd-grade immortal flame. But the premise was that he had to get his hands on this 9-colored heaven fire crystal. Chapter 23-29. No one would have thought that there would be a second Skyfire in the Heaven Fire ruins other than the 5 Thunder Skyfire. Even though Yenli was from the dragon race, her eyes still flickered when she heard that there was another Skyfire in the ruins. And as the myriad treasure tower's young tower lord, the treasures that Jin Chen had seen before were similarly too many to enumerate. However, this Skyfire still made Jin Chen's eyes bloodshot. Yenli wanted this Skyfire because she wanted to make friends with Tang Ao. The dragon saliva pill made by Tang Ao was something that could make all dragons go crazy. Yenli was a dragon alchemist. Although her alchemy ability was not as horrifying as Tang Ao's, it was still not bad. Therefore, she was able to see some problems. Thinking that Tang Ao needed something like the Scarlet Fire Crystal for alchemy, Yenli concluded that Tang Ao did not have a very powerful flame. As for Jin Chen, he wants to obtain this cluster of heavenly flame. He also wants to give it to Tang Ao. Jin Chen can see that Tang Ao's flame is truly too weak. Moreover, he had come with Tang Ao this time to get the treasure that could evolve his flame. Of course, Tang Ao didn't know that a second flame had appeared in the Skyfire vestige. Currently, Tang Ao was rushing towards a lava heavenly pool. There were already many silhouettes around the pool. Under the lava lake, there were 3 people fighting fiercely. 2 of them were martial artists from the South Ruined City and 1 from the North Ruined City. At this moment, the 2 martial artists from the South Ruined City were working together to fight against the martial artist from the North Ruined City. The one from the North Ruined City was a white-haired young man. His hair was not all white but half black and half white. Not only that, even his skin and flesh seemed to be the same. This was caused by a martial art. Moreover, looking at the situation, this white-haired young man had already cultivated this rare martial art to a horrifying level. This Left Warden's Yin-Yang Hell art is so powerful. The people watching the battle under the lava lake exclaimed. The Left Prison Warden is indeed the second most talented martial artist in the North Ruined City. Right now, he is only at the 3rd level of the astral reaching realm, but he managed to stall Wang Lang, who is at the 4th level, and Yang Fan, who is at the 3rd level. As soon as Tang Ao arrived at the side of the magma pool, he could feel Little Flame, who had almost merged with the magma pool. The magma pool was like a sinkhole, as if a comet had fallen from the sky and smashed a huge pit here. The magma pool was nearly 300 meters high from the ground, and it was terrifyingly large, at least 10,000 meters in size. There were martial practitioners from both South Ruined City and North Ruined City around the lava lake. Even if they weren't in the battlefield of the Immortal Ruins, they would still be able to earn contribution points if they could kill the warriors of the enemy city. But now, no one was doing that. Everyone was breathing heavily as they stared at the black flames on a withered branch at the bottom of the magma pool. This flame seemed to have been created by the burning of the withered branch, or as if the branch was a candlestick, and this black flame was quietly burning on top of it. Black Crow Demon Flame. Seeing that this black flame was not in the shape of a black crow, Tang Ao exclaimed in his heart. Originally, Tang Ao thought that the most powerful thing in the Heaven Fire ruins would be the 5 Thunder Sky Fire, but now it seemed that everyone was wrong. Chapter 2330. Once the Langya realm learned that 2 5th-grade immortal fires had appeared in the Heavenly Fire ruins, they would immediately use a super teleportation formation to teleport experts across the void to subdue the 2 flames. However, it was clear that the elders of the ruins of immortality had their own ideas about the 2 flames. After all, obtaining a 5th-grade immortal fire would greatly broaden their future cultivation. That was why the Langya realm still didn't know that 2 5th-grade immortal fires had appeared in the ruins of immortality. As a matter of fact, before anyone discovered the Black Crow Devil Flame, the 6 elders of the ruins of immortality's Elders' Council had been trying to subdue one of the 2 flames in the open and in the dark. Unfortunately, even Li Yujun, the strongest in the ruins of immortality's Elder Council, didn't have the ability to subdue a single immortal fire. Normally, the elders of the ruins of immortality would report this to the Langya realm. However, the appearance of a 5th-grade immortal fire in the ruins of immortality was a heaven-defying opportunity that couldn't be sought after. That was why they had allowed the martial practitioners of the South Ruins and North Ruins cities to enter the Heavenly Fire ruins in the hope that there would be a martial practitioner who could subdue one of the 2 flames. The elders of the ruins of immortality had crossed the bottom line of the Langya realm. But now, the 7 elders of the ruins of immortality, who had always been at odds with each other, were on the same side. No matter who it was, as long as they had the ability, they could fight for the 2 immortal flames. They wouldn't have to worry about the Langya realm pursuing the matter after obtaining the 2 immortal flames. After obtaining such a treasure, he could just run away with the immortal flame. In the endless starry sky, even a colossus like the Langya realm would find it impossible to find a single martialist. When Lu Hua had gone to look for Tang Ao and the others, Li Yujun and the others had suspected that Tang Ao and the others had a way to subdue the immortal flames. However, after investigating, they discovered that the flame Tang Ao used was only a 9th-grade spirit fire. The difference between a 5th-grade immortal fire and a heaven and earth was immeasurable. That was why they had slowly forgotten about the matter. Tang Ao looked at the Black Crow Devil Flame in the depths of the magma pool and was secretly tempted. However, Tang Ao knew that even though he was here, he had no way of approaching the Black Crow Devil Flame, let alone subduing it. However, when Tang Ao saw that no one from the Council of Elders of the Ruins of Immortality had shown up, he gradually realized something. After thinking it through, Tang Ao felt a chill in his heart. At the same time, he felt helpless. The Council of Elders was the strongest existence in the ruins of immortality. Even if the elders of the ruins of immortality's Elders' Council wanted to snatch the immortal flames from the cultivators, no one would be able to refuse. Uncle Array Spirit, so you're here. A voice came from behind Tang Ao, sounding pleasantly surprised. Big brother, it's great that you're alright. At the same time, Jin Chen also came over from afar. After seeing Jin Chen and Long Lanlan together, Tang Ao understood that Long Lanlan should have known about what happened before. Immediately, Tang Ao scratched his head in embarrassment. However, after seeing Yenli behind Long Lanlan, Tang Ao was inwardly vigilant. A 6th-level astral-reaching expert. Moreover, it was a 6th-level astral-reaching expert with incomparably condensed Zhen Yuan. This beautiful woman wearing a purple dress with a golden pattern on her forehead was a powerful expert. Chapter 2331. Hearing Yen Li's words, Tang Ao understood that Yen Li had recognized him. Just as Tang Ao was considering whether to leave with Jin Chen suddenly transmitted a message to Tang Ao. Big brother Tang Ao, Lu Hua has already left the immortal ruins after the heavenly star Thunder Lion. What's going on? Tang Ao was overjoyed as he grabbed Jin Chun and asked. Although Tang Ao's cultivation had improved a lot, the person Tang Ao was most afraid of was Lu Hua. As long as Lu Hua left, Tang Ao could cultivate in the immortal ruins for a period of time. With Tang Ao's current level of a Grade 3 alchemy master, he could already concoct pills for Yi Qiuqing. However, Tang Ao did not plan to concoct the 9 transformation heaven-reversing pill for Yi Qiuqing right now. Right now, Tang Ao could not even handle a yin-yang realm warrior. Once Yi Qiuqing's cultivation recovered, Tang Ao would have to face an old monster at the chaotic sky realm. Tang Ao felt that if he did not want to die, he would definitely not concoct the 9 transformation heaven-reversing pill at this time. After Tang Ao asked, Jin Chun told Tang Ao everything he had seen. Tang Ao's expression did not change, but he was overjoyed. According to Jin Chun, Lu Hua had actually left the immortal ruins after the heavenly star Thunder Lion through the spatial crack. After passing through the spatial crack of the immortal ruins, one would not reach the periphery of the immortal ruins. Instead, one would pass through the realm void and arrive at another place. However, Tang Ao knew that even though Lu Hua was a yin-yang realm warrior, it would not be easy for him to return to the immortal ruins after falling into the realm void. Thinking of this, Tang Ao was in a good mood. The immortal spirit qi in the immortal ruins might not be comparable to the true martial realm, but Tang Ao's cultivation speed in the immortal ruins was not slow either. As long as Tang Ao had enough time to train, once Tang Ao reached late astral reaching realm, Tang Ao would no longer be afraid of yin-yang realm warriors like Lu Hua. Furthermore, after becoming a Grade 3 alchemy master, Tang Ao also had a way to counter Lu Hua. If he really forced Tang Ao into a corner, Tang Ao would directly refine the 9 transformations heaven reversal pill and let Yi Qiuqing kill Lu Hua. With Yi Qiuqing's chaotic heaven stage cultivation, killing Lu Hua was as easy as crushing an ant. However, Tang Ao also understood that external things weren't omnipotent. As long as he was strong enough, he would be able to establish himself in the ruins of immortality and the realm of true martial. I don't have a way to subdue this cluster of black crow demonic flames, but I have a treasure that has a 10% chance of subduing that cluster of 5 thunder heavenly flames in the distance. While Tang Ao was pondering, Yanli suddenly transmitted a message to Tang Ao. When Yanli saw the expression on Tang Ao's face as he looked at the lava pool, she immediately understood how much Tang Ao desired a high-grade immortal flame. This couldn't be blamed on Tang Ao. Any artificer or alchemist would definitely desire a high-grade immortal flame. With a high-grade immortal flame, they would have limitless possibilities in the future. With a high-grade immortal flame, they would be able to go further in the path of alchemy or artificing. There was no doubt that Tang Ao's pill concoction ability had shaken the entire city. It was precisely because of Tang Ao's pill concoction ability that Tang Ao desired a high-grade immortal flame more than anyone else. Chapter 2332. This was good news for Tang Ao. After all, there were a lot of powerful people here. The 3 people fighting for the Black Crow Demon flame on the lava lake were very hard to deal with. Although the 3 had shown their cultivation bases to be at the 4th level of the astral reaching realm, under Tang Ao's sky extreme eyes, he could naturally tell that they were hiding their cultivation bases. All 3 of them were at the 5th level of the astral reaching realm, and their auras were extremely powerful. They were even more powerful than Yanli, especially the black and white-haired young man below. According to the people around him, he was called the Left Warden, and he gave Tang Ao a very dangerous feeling. Right now, the Left Warden was fighting 1 against 2, and he was even slightly suppressing Wang Lang and Yang Fan. Tang Ao had the South Ruin City's Platinum rank token, so Tang Ao knew quite a bit about the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins. Every 1,000 years, the ruins of Immortal Wood have 300 quotas to enter the Langya realm. Among these 300 quotas, 275 were allocated according to the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins, and the remaining 25 were auctioned off by the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins. The martial artist called the Left Warden was the second genius of the North Ruined City. He would definitely be one of the 10 participants of the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins. The two people fighting with the Left Warden were not simple either. They were both genius martial artists of the South Ruined City. They were the second genius martial artist, Wang Lang, and the third genius martial artist, Yang Fan. When the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins began, these two would most likely represent the South Ruined City. The reason why it was most likely was because before the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins, anyone with a platinum rank token could challenge the top 10 geniuses. Although Tang Ao had a platinum rank token, Tang Ao was not among the top 10 geniuses. In other words, if Tang Ao wanted to qualify for the Great Battle of Immortal Ruins, he would have to defeat one of the top 10 martial artists. Although Wang Lang and Yang Fan were ranked quite high, Tang Ao felt that since they could be in the top 10, then the people behind them would not be that much weaker than the people in front of them. Humph. Wang Lang, Yang Fan, with just the two of you, do you think you're qualified to fight with me for the Black Crow Devil Flame? If you don't back off now, don't blame me for being impolite. The Left Prison Warden snorted coldly. As more and more martial artists gathered, the Left Prison Warden could even sense several powerful auras in the surroundings. If it was a one-on-one battle, the Left Prison Warden knew that no one here would be a match for him. However, if he, Yang Fan and Wang Lang were to fight and both sides were injured, it was inevitable that others would take advantage of him. Not even the elders of the Ruins of Immortality's Elders' Council could subdue the Black Crow demonic flame, so the Left Warden was naturally unable to do so. Although he didn't have the ability to subdue it, the Left Warden had a treasure that could extract 10% of the Black Crow Devil Flames. If it weren't for Yang Fan and Wang Lang stopping him, the Left Prison Warden would have extracted 10% of the Black Crow Devil Flame and left. Tang Ao heard another name from the Left Warden. As for Jun Wuhan, although Tang Ao had never seen him before, he had heard of him. Jun Wuhan was the #1 genius of South Ruined City and the disciple of South Ruined City's City Lord, Nan Huili. This Jun Wuhan was not simple. Before Jun Wuhan's rise, Wang Lang had been the #1 genius of South Ruined City. Chapter 2333. Jun Wuhan originally did not have a platinum-level identity token. However, among the top 10 genius warriors, the 10th-ranked warrior had been killed by Jun Wuhan in a second. Hence, his identity token had naturally fallen into Jun Wuhan's hands. These people would be Tang Ao's competitors in Langya Realm in the future. Although their strengths weren't ordinary, Tang Ao wasn't afraid of them. Right now, what Tang Ao wanted to do was to sneak into the bottom of the magma pool and obtain the 9-colored Heaven Fire Crystal. At the same time, Tang Ao also saw the guardian beast that Little Flame previously mentioned. It was a strange fish covered in scales. This strange fish didn't have eyes. Its face only had a large, ferocious mouth, and its entire body was a reddish-gray color. Moreover, the undulations on its body were very similar to the undulations in the magma pool. If one didn't look carefully, it would be very difficult to discover this strange fish. Tang Ao didn't know if the 3 people below had discovered this strange fish, but this strange fish was currently staring at the 3 fellows. At the moment, Little Flame wasn't far from this strange fish. However, it seemed that this strange fish didn't notice Little Flame at all. This was because Little Flame's original body was an innate fire source aura. At the moment, it had already completely merged with the magma pool. This strange fish could still detect it with soul remembrance. However, without any special methods, it definitely wouldn't be able to discover Little Flame here. Unless it was like Tang Ao and had a life-soul contract with Little Flame. Or it had heavenly polar pupils. Chi. Just as the left prison supervisor and the other two were fighting intensely, the cluster of black crow devil flames suddenly trembled. Although these trembles were very slight, everyone's attention, including the left prison supervisor and the other two, was focused on the black crow devil flames. Therefore, the slight tremble of the black crow devil flames was naturally noticed by everyone. Caw! Immediately after, a deathly silent crow cry spread out from the black crow devil flames, shocking everyone's mind. Then, everyone shockingly saw that the slowly burning black crow devil flames suddenly began to burn intensely. At this moment, the withered wood beneath the black crow demonic flame was also ignited, emitting waves of black smoke. Tang Ao immediately turned his sky-polar eyes to look. Then, Tang Ao saw that in the black crow devil flames, a black crow was struggling to break out of the flames. This crow was cold and evil, carrying with it the aura of death. When he saw this crow, Tang Ao even had a voice in his heart, telling him to attack and kill this crow. Of course, Tang Ao wasn't the only one with such thoughts. However, this thought was quickly suppressed by greed. Fire spirit! No one knew who said this, but everyone immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, countless people's eyes were burning hot and their breathing quickened. Even the left prison supervisor and the other two had stopped fighting at this moment. The left prison supervisor's face went cold. Just now, he had discovered that this cluster of black crow devil flames had a fire spirit. As long as he made the first move, he had a way to extract the fire spirit. After taking away the sleeping fire spirit, this cluster of flames wouldn't show any abnormalities in a short amount of time. By the time everyone discovered the abnormality, the left prison supervisor would have already refined the black crow devil flames fire spirit. However, Wang Lang and Yang Fan, these two idiots, didn't have the ability to obtain the fire spirit, so they kept him here. Thinking of this, the left prison supervisor already saw Wang Lang and Yang Fan as dead people. Chapter 2334. A flame that could give birth to a fire spirit would have a limitless future. Therefore, no matter where it was, as long as a flame that gave birth to a fire spirit appeared, it would be fought over by countless people. Another important thing was that when the fire spirit was first born, it was extremely weak. At this point, any astral-reaching realm martial artist would be able to subdue this flame. Whoosh! Basically, everyone present knew about this. Therefore, the moment the fire spirit flew out, countless people rushed towards the black crow demon flame. Jin Chen did not move, because he saw that Tang Ao did not move. Normally, Yenli would do the same. She knew that an elder from the ruins of Immortality Elder Association had come to subdue this flame. Therefore, Tang Ao and Yenli both understood that in this situation, no matter who got their hands on this flame, they would not be able to keep it. They might even get killed. There were quite a few people who had thought of this. However, under the temptation of this kind of treasure, no one could stay rational. As long as they got their hands on this flame, they would be able to escape into the endless surreal space. Although those below the yin-yang realm would most likely die if they fell into the surreal space, everyone could be sure that they would be the one to die. Moreover, with this kind of treasure protecting them, as long as they did not die, they would definitely become a powerful martial artist in the future. On the path of cultivation, other than diligent training, one also needed some opportunities. Opportunities could be seen as a reasonable shortcut on the path of martial art. This shortcut was something that countless people wanted to take, but only a few people would be able to get this opportunity. Just as Tang Ao was considering whether or not he should set up an array to seal off the numerous powerful soul remembrance around him, an explosion suddenly rang out in midair. The moment everyone looked up, they saw a black bead explode. After this black bead exploded, endless black fog spread out. This black fog could not be seen through by the naked eye, and soul consciousnesses were blocked as well. Even when Tang Ao used his sky polar eyes to check, the surroundings of the black fog were distorted, making it hard to see clearly. No one knew what was going on, but everyone knew that someone had made a move on the Black Crow Demon Flame. As expected, when the black fog spread out, the Black Crow Demon Flame let out a shrill scream. However, everyone's soul consciousnesses were completely blocked by the black fog, so no one could see what was going on. Before, Tang Ao was not ready to make a move, but now, someone had done it. Tang Ao would not have missed this opportunity back then. "Brother Chun, let's go." After speaking, Tang Ao flashed his body and rushed into the black fog. In this black fog, one could only see the surrounding darkness with the naked eye. There was nothing. Moreover, his soul remembrance could only sense fluctuations within 3 meters of him. Any further and he couldn't sense anything. While everyone was flying towards the location of the Black Crow Devil Flame, Tang Ao flew towards the bottom of the magma pool. Because the difference in grade between the Netherworld Flame and the Black Crow Demonic Flame was too big, the Netherworld Flame trembled in fear. Therefore, Tang Ao could vaguely find the Black Crow Demon Flame based on the Netherworld Flame. When Tang Ao's figure flew towards the bottom of the magma pool, a black-robed young lady with a cold expression also flew towards the bottom of the magma pool. Chapter 23:35. This was because she had seen that Tang Ao had almost collided with another martial practitioner in midair, and Tang Ao had dodged in advance from about 10 meters away. This meant that even though Tang Ao could use his soul remembrance, within her ink spirit mist, Tang Ao's soul remembrance could not be used to its full potential. Even so, she was still slightly shocked. This was because normal astral-reaching realm martial practitioners could only sense their soul remembrance within 3 feet of their body in her ink spirit mist. However, the strength of Tang Ao's soul remembrance was actually 10 times that of martial practitioners of the same realm. Thinking that Tang Ao was a martial practitioner of the South Ruined City, she even wanted to kill Tang Ao here. Although she knew that Tang Ao was not among the top 10 martial geniuses of the South Ruined City. But she had no doubt that with Tang Ao's strength, it would not be a problem for him to enter the top 10 martial practitioners of the South Ruined City. Tang Ao used the Netherworld Flame to sense the Black Crow Demonic Flame. When he approached the Black Crow Demonic Flame, he suddenly felt a gaze lock onto him. "Has she discovered me already?" Tang Ao muttered in his heart. Without even thinking, Tang Ao knew who was watching him. For this person to release such a black mist, her goal was to seize the Black Crow Devil Flame. After scanning the surroundings with his sky polar eyes once again, Tang Ao still decided to give up on the Black Crow Devil Flame. Under Tang Ao's sky polar eyes, although the surroundings were much clearer, he still could not see clearly. Although Tang Ao did not discover he could already feel her astral-reaching realm 6th level aura. Tang Ao's goal this time was not the Black Crow Devil Flame, so Tang Ao did not plan to fight with for the Black Crow Devil Flame. With a thought, Tang Ao directly fell into the lava pool. Had been standing beside the Black Crow Demonic Flame, preparing to kill Tang Ao. However, when she saw Tang Ao suddenly fall into the lava pool, a trace of doubt flashed in her eyes. She was sure that Tang Ao knew the location of the Black Crow Devil Flame. She even felt that Tang Ao should have discovered her existence. However, for some unknown reason, Tang Ao actually went straight to the bottom of the lava pool. She naturally saw the 9-colored Skyfire crystal at the bottom of the lava pool. However, the difference between the 9-colored Skyfire crystal and the Black Crow Devil Flame was just too great. She did not believe that Tang Ao would be willing to give up the Black Crow Devil Flame for a 9-colored Skyfire crystal. But no matter how confused Mo was, Tang Ao still dove in the direction of the 9-colored skyfire crystal. Seeing that Tang Ao had really left, Mo shook her head. Mo made several complicated hand seals, and a black rune was drawn out by her. After this black rune appeared, Mo spat out a mouthful of blood essence, which fused with the mysterious rune. Immediately after, the mysterious rune turned into a black light and flew towards the black crow devil flame. The rune was instantly branded on the black crow formed by the black crow devil flame. At this time, the flaming crow let out another mournful cry. Immediately after, a black light flashed and was directly collected by Mo. It turned into a flame mark on Mo's left hand. After Mo collected the fire spirit, she looked at the black crow devil flame that was still burning slowly. However, this time, Mo did not collect it. She even threw a black crystal into the black crow devil flame, causing the dying black crow devil flame to burn fiercely again. After doing all this, Mo looked at Tang Ao below. Chapter 2336. After Mo left, the surrounding ink spirit fog slowly dissipated. When the ink spirit fog dissipated, everyone found that the black crow demon flame was still slowly burning, but the fire spirit that everyone saw had already disappeared. Bastard! Who took the fire spirit? The left jail supervisor looked at the empty interior of the black crow demon flame and roared out. If it was someone else who obtained the fire spirit, they wouldn't be able to keep it. But if it was him who obtained the fire spirit, he just needed to reveal his identity. Although this was against the rules, the left jail supervisor believed that as long as he could obtain the black crow demon flame's fire spirit, no one in the family would say anything. On the contrary, if the left jail family knew that he had lost the black crow demon flame's fire spirit today, even if he didn't do anything wrong, he would still be heavily punished. The black crow demon flame was just a normal flame in other people's hands, but the left jail family's inherited cultivation technique, the fiery domain demonic art, needed to be paired with a flame to cultivate. This kind of flame couldn't be casually cultivated. According to the records, there were 3 kinds of flames that could assist in cultivating the fiery domain demonic art in this world. The first kind was the netherworld flame that could grow into the immortal nether flame. The netherworld flame was the best flame for cultivating the fiery domain demonic art. Only the netherworld flame took a long time to grow, and the treasures needed to advance the netherworld flame were very hard to obtain. Because the netherworld flame was not easy to grow, the second flame, the black crow demon flame, was the best flame for cultivating the fiery domain demonic art. The growth of the black crow devil flame was not as difficult as the netherworld flame. Moreover, once it was cultivated to the large success stage, the fiery domain demonic fiery technique, cultivated with the netherworld flame, was only slightly weaker than the black crow devil flame. But if the flame used to cultivate the fiery domain demonic art was the black crow demon flame with a fire spirit, then it would be comparable to the immortal nether flame that could only be formed when the netherworld flame reached its peak. But in front of the left jail supervisor, someone had taken away the black crow demon flame's fire spirit in front of him. The left jail supervisor gave an angry roar as he charged at Wang Lang and Yang Fan. If it weren't for these 2 fellows holding him back, there wouldn't have been so many problems. Yang Fan and Wang Lang, on the other hand, were dumbfounded. The 2 of them did not know that the greatest value of the demonic black crow flame was not the flame itself, but the fire spirit. Therefore, when they saw the demonic black crow flame still there, they could not understand why the left prison warden would suddenly go berserk. The lava pool was very low. Aside from Tang Ao, there were many other cultivators with special technique. However, these people were different from Tang Ao. Tang Ao had come here for the 9-colored skyfire crystal, but these people were here to collect a type of reddish gold sand. Pure gold sand. Tang Ao naturally recognized this type of sand. It was precisely the third-grade immortal material, pure gold sand. Pure gold sand was a rather rare material. Furthermore, it was slightly difficult to collect pure gold sand. Normally speaking, only a boundless desert could have pure gold sand exist. Tang Ao did not expect that there would be pure gold sand in this place, and there seemed to be quite a lot of it. Chapter 23:37. At first, Tang Ao thought that the strange fish he saw earlier was guarding the 9-colored heaven fire crystal. But now, Tang Ao realized that the strange fish didn't care about the 9-colored heaven fire crystal at all. When Tang Ao looked up, he could still see the strange fish circling around the black crow devil flame. However, he didn't know if the strange fish knew that the fire spirit in the black crow devil flame had been extracted by someone. Seeing that the strange fish had no intention of coming down, Tang Ao joined the search for pure gold sand. Soon, Tang Ao found another 9-colored heaven fire crystal. Naturally, the surrounding people also saw Tang Ao pick up a 9-colored sky fire crystal. Immediately, several of them revealed a startled expression. 9-colored heaven fire crystal was a material for some 9th-grade spirit flames to evolve into immortal flames. It sounded precious, but after cultivating for a while in the ruins of immortality, one would learn that the lowest grade of strange flames in the true martial realm was a first-grade immortal flame. Therefore, this unusually precious thing in a low-level continent was useless in the ruins of immortality, or even the entire true martial realm. Because the true martial realm had complete rules of the world, strange flames in the world were born at the very least as first-grade immortal flames. When they saw Tang Ao carefully put the 9-colored heaven fire crystal into a jade box, the surrounding people looked at him disdainfully. At the same time, they understood that Tang Ao must be a martial practitioner who had just come to the ruins of immortality. That was why he thought of the 9-colored heaven fire crystal as a treasure. Tang Ao was a little puzzled by everyone's gazes. Although pure gold sand had more uses, the 9-colored heaven fire crystal was also a good treasure. But Tang Ao hadn't seen any martial practitioners pick up a 9-colored heaven fire crystal since he had been here for so long. It seemed that in their eyes, the 9-colored heaven fire crystal was just an ordinary stone. No one would pick up a stone and put it on their person when they had nothing better to do. "Hey friend, I am Zhao Zian." After Tang Ao put away another 9-colored heaven fire crystal, a handsome youth walked over. "My name is Tang Ao," Tang Ao said after seeing the South Ruins city identity token at Zhao Zian's waist. At Tang Ao's waist, there was also a silver-level identity token. Previously, Yang Yun had only given Tang Ao a platinum-level identity token because he wanted to see Tang Ao make a fool of himself. In the end, Tang Ao was too low-key and had never taken out his platinum-level identity token. Later, when Jin Wanchuan found out that Tang Ao only had a platinum-level identity token, he asked someone to make a silver-level identity token for Tang Ao. In Jin Wanchuan's opinion, Tang Ao alchemy's attainments were not bad, but Tang Ao's strength was still a little weak. Wearing a platinum-level identity token was too ostentatious. "Haha. Brother Tang Ao, you just arrived at the ruins of immortality, right?" Zhao Zian asked with a laugh after seeing Tang Ao say his name so readily. As for Tang Ao's name, Zhao Zian didn't think too much about it. There were hundreds of thousands of martial practitioners in South Ruins City, so it was normal to have a few people with the same name. "That's right. Do you have any advice for me, Brother Zhao?" Sensing that Zhao Zian didn't have any ill intentions, Tang Ao was ready to listen to what Zhao Zian had to say. Compared to the lower continents, the laws of heaven and earth of the true martial realm are very complete. Even the ruins of immortality around the true martial realm are not as good as the true martial realm, but the laws of heaven and earth are also more complete. This means that the strange flames born in the true martial realm and the surrounding ruins of immortality are at least grade 1 immortal flames. The 9-colored heaven fire crystal can upgrade a grade 9 spirit fire to a grade 1 immortal flame, but it's useless in the ruins of immortality. Zhao Ziyan wanted to ask Tang Ao for help, so he explained everything to Tang Ao in great detail. I see. After hearing Zhao Ziyan's words, realization dawned on Tang Ao. Now Tang Ao understood why everyone was looking at him with complicated gazes. It turned out that in the ruins of immortality, the 9-colored heaven fire crystal was useless to others, unless his body was like Tang Ao, which also had a low-level flame with great potential. For others, the 9-colored skyfire crystal might not be of much use. However, for Tang Ao, the 9-colored skyfire crystal was too useful. This was because Tang Ao had awakened the Netherworld life spirit and could summon the Netherworld fire from the Netherworld at any time. Therefore, with so many 9-colored heaven fire crystals, Tang Ao could naturally upgrade many grade 1 immortal flames. Chapter 2338. Tang Ao's body shook and his eyes shone brightly. Are you serious? 9-colored heaven fire crystal wasn't a valuable thing in the ruins of immortals or even in the true martial domain. Most of the experts who possessed a 9th-grade spirit fire had upgraded their 9th-grade spirit fire to a 1st-grade immortal fire when they were in the low-level planes. Just like how Tang Ao was invincible in the Black-Yellow continent, those who could possess a 9th-grade spirit fire in the lower continents were basically the peak existences of their continents. Like how Tang Ao couldn't find a 9-colored heaven fire crystal even after searching the entire continent, it could be considered a very special case. 9-colored heaven fire crystals were common items in the ruins of immortals and the true martial realm. However, a 1st-grade immortal fire was a highly sought-after treasure. From a certain perspective, the value of a 1st-grade immortal fire was much higher than a 2nd or even 3rd-grade immortal fire. Of course, this was only applicable to 1st-grade immortal fires that could grow, and Tang Ao's Netherworld flame was clearly such a flame. If this place Chen Ziyan spoke of truly had a lot of 9-colored heaven fire crystals, then Tang Ao's time to strike it rich had arrived. At this moment, Tang Ao's eyes were scarlet red, and his breathing was rapid. This appearance made Chen Ziyan apprehensive, not knowing why Tang Ao had such a special liking for 9-colored heaven fire crystals. The reason why Chen Ziyan sought out Tang Ao was because he saw that Tang Ao's cultivation base was a bit lower than his. Tang Ao was only at the 2nd level of astral reaching realm, while he was at the 3rd level. Once an extraordinary treasure appeared in the cavern, everyone would be able to distribute it equally under his arrangement, and there would be no snatching. Besides Tang Ao, Chen Ziyan also sought out 3 others. Unfortunately, even with the 4 of them working together, they still couldn't blast open the array at the entrance. No matter how the 4 attacked, the array at the entrance was in imminent danger, but it couldn't be broken. It was also because of this that Chen Ziyan decided to find another person. However, those who could come here were basically 4th-level astral reaching realm, 5th level, or even higher. Chen Ziyan looked around for a while before finally finding Tang Ao. Chen Ziyan was a righteous person, but Chen Ziyan didn't trust others. It was also because of this that he planned to find a few cultivators with low cultivation. That way, even if something good appeared, everyone could share it equally. There was no need to damage the harmony over a single treasure. In Chen Ziyan's opinion, as long as their cultivation wasn't as high as his, he would definitely be able to control the situation. Tang Ao swept away the surrounding 9-color heaven fire crystals and left the area with Chen Ziyan. Due to the disappearance of the fire spirit, the temperature of the Black Crow demonic flame had plummeted. At this moment, almost all the martial artists made a move, wanting to fight for the Black Crow demonic flame. As for the fire spirit, not many people were paying attention to it, because no one could figure out what was going on with the ink spirit fog that had suddenly appeared, and no one knew where the fire spirit was. Although the black crow demonic flame wasn't as precious as the fire spirit, it was still a 6th grade immortal flame. Therefore, the majority of people were fighting over the black crow demonic flame. The majority of people were fighting over the black crow demonic flame because the martial artists collecting the pure gold sand at the bottom of the lava pool weren't moved at all. Of course, it wasn't because the pure gold sand was more precious than the black crow demonic flame, but because these people understood that the black crow demonic flame wasn't something they had the qualifications to touch. Chapter 2339. Using an immortal weapon made of pure gold sand could burn the opponent to a certain extent. Especially for fire-attributed martial artists, they had a greater desire for immortal weapons made of pure gold sand. In their hands, these weapons could display even greater power. According to Tang Ao's original plan, he would collect all the 9 colored sky fire crystals in the surroundings and then gather the pure gold sand with everyone else. However, since Chen Zian said that there was a place with 9 colored sky fire crystals, and he was obviously looking for cooperation, Tang Ao didn't mind going with him to take a look. The pure gold sand was quite valuable, but for Tang Ao, the 9 colored sky fire crystals were obviously more valuable than the pure gold sand. Tang Ao could also see Chen Zian's cultivation base, a 3rd-level astral-reaching realm martial artist. This kind of cultivation base was already extremely low in the depths of Heaven Fire ruins. Tang Ao guessed that Chen Zian most likely wanted to cooperate with him because of his 2nd-level astral-reaching realm cultivation base. Regarding this, Tang Ao didn't care. Although Tang Ao was only at the 2nd-level astral-reaching realm, ordinary 5th and 6th-level astral-reaching realm warriors were definitely not Tang Ao's opponent. As for the martial artists from low-rank places, even if they cultivated to the 7th-level astral-reaching realm, they might still not be Tang Ao's opponent. The difference between immortal spirit chi and spirit chi was like a chasm between heaven and earth. The first thing that all martial artists from low-rank places had to do in the immortal ruins was to convert the spirit chi in their body into immortal spirit chi. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to move forward in the immortal ruins. As time passed, if the conversion was not done in time, there might even be a situation where the spirit chi and immortal spirit chi mix together. Due to the huge difference between immortal spirit chi and spirit chi, this kind of mixing could easily damage a martial artist's foundation. This kind of damage was usually irreversible. Early astral reaching realm, which was the 3rd-level astral reaching realm, was the most suitable to come to the immortal ruins. At this time, there wasn't much spirit chi in the body, so it would be easy to convert the spirit chi into immortal spirit chi. Tang Ao thought that the cave Chen Zian mentioned should be in a hidden location in the magma pool, but Tang Ao didn't expect that Chen Zian would lead Tang Ao away from the magma pool after walking for a while. At that moment, Tang Ao had already asked Jin Chen to search for the pure gold sand and the 9-colored skyfire crystal at the bottom of the lava pool. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't have to worry about Jin Chen. Therefore, after leaving the magma pool, Tang Ao's expression remained the same. After that, Chen Zian brought Tang Ao through the lava cave. This lava cave extended in all directions. No one knew how many passages there were in the lava cave. The walls of the lava cave were all scarlet red, as if they were about to be melted by the terrifying heat. But even after tens of thousands of years, these scarlet red walls still looked the same. As Tang Ao followed Chen Zian to this place, Tang Ao realized that there were many people around. However, they didn't talk to each other, and just hurriedly walked through these passages. Tang Ao quickly followed Chen Zian to a narrow passage. Rather than calling it a passage, it would be better to call it a crack. This crack was between the mountain rocks. Even with Tang Ao's figure, it wouldn't be easy for him to pass through this crack. Moreover, the mountain rocks here had been calcined by the flames for tens of thousands of years, making them even harder than ordinary sixth-grade immortal artifacts. Without special methods, it would be almost impossible to blast open the mountain rocks here. Chapter 2340. Brother Tang Ao, the cave abode is behind this crack. Follow me. After saying that, Chen Zian shrank his body and stepped into the crack. Tang Ao scanned the crack with his soul remembrance. However, Tang Ao was shocked to find that his soul remembrance couldn't penetrate the crack. Interesting. After muttering, a purplish-black aura surged around Tang Ao's body. Immediately, Tang Ao's figure became blurry. Then, the purple mist moved and Tang Ao flew into the crack. The crack wasn't long, but because it was too narrow, it wasn't easy to pass through it. In particular, there was an oppressive feeling in the crack. Passing through the crack was like carrying a mountain on one's back. If the crack was any longer, Tang Ao even suspected that Chen Zian wouldn't be able to pass through it. After an incense stick's time, Chen Zian finally walked out of the crack. After Chen Zian walked out of the crack, Tang Ao's figure flashed and a purple mist appeared at the crack's exit. The purple mist dissipated and Tang Ao's figure slowly appeared. This purple mist was nothing else but a way to use the underworld life soul. During the time Tang Ao spent in the spacetime secret realm, he had gained a better understanding of the underworld life soul. Tang Ao realized that even Emperor Hades back then could only unleash 30% of the underworld life soul's power. As for the current Tang Ao, although he had the underworld life soul, it was like a heaven-defying divine weapon in front of a baby. It was completely useless. After Tang Ao's figure appeared, Chen Zian looked at Tang Ao in surprise. Then, Chen Zian praised him generously. Brother Tang Ao has such a powerful escape technique. I don't know why, but ordinary escape techniques can't be used here. Therefore, you can only walk in step by step under normal circumstances. Hearing Chen Zian's praise, Tang Ao smiled and said, Brother Chen, where is the cave you mentioned? As Tang Ao spoke, he also looked around. After seeing the surroundings, Tang Ao's eyes were filled with astonishment. Tang Ao had thought that this was a very secretive place that only Chen Zian and a few others knew about. But now, Tang Ao found that he and Chen Zian were in a very large cave. The cave was hundreds of meters high and thousands of meters in circumference. There were also many passageways on the walls of the cave. At this moment, many warriors could be seen walking through these passageways. It's not far ahead. Brother Tang Ao, just follow me. Chen Zian didn't seem to notice Tang Ao's stunned expression and continued to lead the way. However, Tang Ao could not help but ask, Brother Chen, did all these warriors come through that crack just now? Although not all, more than 99% of the warriors came through that crack. The remaining few warriors were directly sent here by some array formations in the Heavenly Fire ruins. This place is very strange. Chen Zian explained to Tang Ao while leading Tang Ao in a direction. Tang Ao found that the warriors' cultivation levels were generally low. It seemed that the warriors with the lowest cultivation levels in the Heavenly Fire ruins were concentrated in this place. Here, Tang Ao even saw life and death realm warriors. Tang Ao was a little confused. He did not know how these life and death realm warriors came to the depths of the Heavenly Fire ruins. Chapter 2341. Right then, the two astral-reaching realm level 2 warriors were continuously trying to please this girl. Their eyes were also wandering around her body, as if they wanted to devour her. Seeing this girl, even Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. This girl was born with a seductive body. Her clothes were flirtatious, but there was a pure and flawless aura in between her brows. This kind of girl could definitely be called a monster. Right then, Murong Wanner was a bit nervous as she looked at the two male warriors next to her. That pitiful and weak look made people want to go up and take care of them. Cough, cough. Chen Zian walked over and coughed lightly. Hearing Chen Zian's voice, the two young men immediately came back to their senses. He looked at Chen Zian and Tang Ao, who was behind Chen Zian, and then said to Chen Zian, "Brother Chen. Yeah, this is Tang Ao. Right now, with the 5 of us working together, we should be able to shatter the sealing spell." After introducing Tang Ao, Chen Zian pointed at the girl and said to Tang Ao, "This is Murong Wanner. Sister Murong is an array master. Although she does not have a high cultivation, she was the leader this time." Wanner greets brother Tang Ao. Murong Wanner's voice was very soft and charming. Just hearing this voice, Tang Ao felt like his bones were going soft, thinking about how powerful this girl was. "This is Xue Haiqing, Brother Xue. Brother Xue is a body-refining warrior, and his body is very powerful." After introducing Murong Wanner, Chen Zian pointed at the slightly tanned but skinny young man. Was this a body-refining warrior? Looking at Xue Haiqing's skinny appearance, Tang Ao could not imagine that this Xue Haiqing was a body-refining warrior. Tang Ao did not know how Xue Haiqing trained, but Tang Ao was sure that if Xue Haiqing continued to train like this, he would probably kill himself. Compared to Murong Wanner's passion, Xue Haiqing only snorted coldly and ignored Tang Ao. Originally, the 4 of them had entered the cave together to explore, so each of them would get 25% of the loot. Now that Tang Ao joined in, everyone could only take 20% of the items. Therefore, Xue Haiqing did not have a good impression of Tang Ao. Haha, junior brother Xue's personality is a bit cold. Brother Tang Ao, don't mind him. This is junior brother Jia Qian. Junior brother Jia Qian is also good at array formations. Moreover, junior brother Jia Qian is good at very rare battle array technique. The art of battle formations. A trace of horror flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. Although Tang Ao hadn't been in the ruins of immortality for a long time, Tang Ao wasn't an ordinary cultivator. Tang Ao possessed the inherited memories of several turbid sky realm powerhouses. There were many things that Tang Ao knew about. The so-called battle formation method was to use a formation to attack the enemy. Using a formation to attack wasn't like setting up a formation in advance and then using a formation to ambush the enemy. Instead, during a battle, one could quickly set up a formation and use many powerful formations to blast the enemy into pieces. When Chen Zian introduced Jia Qian had a proud look on his face. Even Xue Haiqing had a look of jealousy in his eyes. The requirements to learn the art of battle formations were 5 times higher than becoming an ordinary array master. Therefore, any martialist who could learn the art of battle formations could be called a genius. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.